Welcome to the FAQ podcast, frequently asked questions with Fuzzy and Quincy. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, FAQ podcast. Subscribe, comment, share, hate, whatever it is. Just do what you need to do right there.
Did you just say hate?
Yeah, hate. Come on, because people like hating online. We don't care. Just whatever you do.
Listen, beside a hater, I love a follower.
Yeah, follow, comment,
subscribe to that thing
please
on
do.
YouTube.
Hey, this next guest that we have, this is an honor.
This is hip hop history right here.
Wilmington, Delaware's finest.
Tell them, let them know.
This is like, listen, Fuzz, it's, you got tax-free stuff down there in Delaware. You got, all hip hop. That was the birth of allhiphop.com. Shout out to Grouchy Greg and them.
Okay.
And Young Guru.
Young Guru's in the building with
Sound
frequently asked questions.
The most famous sound engineer in hip hop history.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah, no.
Nah, you probably, yeah.
Let's put it ahead.
Famous black engineer. You hear
couple,
me?
Man, it's a couple.
But no, you up there.
I'm up there. I got my brothers too. Doro. I say Doro's the Jackie Robinson of what we do, right?
Wow.
Okay.
Doro broke the door
Desert
down
Storm.
for me. Yeah. Doro broke the door down. There's Pat Viala. There's Brian Stanley. It's a bunch of cats, man. I can't take that one by myself.
Yeah.
But you listen.
I'm up there. I got some work.
So Fuzz is a sound geek.
Yeah,
For
I'm about to be
us
in my
out there,
audio.
we've always heard your name. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z shot you out. Whole Rockefeller, everybody shot you out. But what does it mean when people say, yo, you sound engineered or you engineered my project? And what's the difference?
Most likely they talking about two different processes, right? You
Okay.
can talk about the recording process, the mixing process. Before hip-hop, that recording process was set up a band, select the microphones, figure out the angles of the microphones so that stuff is, recorded properly.
Still important.
Right. What medium you recording on, what you record through, what type of board, all of those sort of things. With hip-hop, we sort of changed it a little bit because we brought in beat machines. So it was like mastering that technology was our thing. So then, of course, we have the great Dr. Dre, who kind of like, for me, meshed the two together perfectly. Not to say that people didn't have live instrumentation in hip-hop before then, right? We started out live. Right, so if you go back to Sugar Hill, that was a band.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was a Sugar Hill band. Then we get to beat machines, which was on purpose. So if you look at Rick Rubin and what they were doing with Run DMC, it was to strip it down just to make it sound like the Park, like the breaks. Then we got to a point of sampling particular break beats, right? The famous break beats. Shout out to like Breakbeat Lou, people like that. Yeah. Ultimate Breaks and Beats came about. That became our canon. Then we stumble on like sampling just kicks and snares, right? So we got to get at the Marley Marl. Marley Marl's, I'm just trying to run through the history real quick. Marley Marl sort of introduces that and masters that. And then, you start having our era where we have like Tribe and people like that are throwing in like drum breaks and samples. Also on the West Coast, where if you look at the original production styles of, say, a Dr. Dre, mirroring like what was going on in the swap meets, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
With a lot of those
mixtapes and stuff.
And like, so that was break beats, also with a West Coast sort of like feel to it, right? The same thing the Bomb Squad was doing on the East Coast with that sort of feel and throwing in a bunch of samples. We were at that point where there was no sampling laws, so we could just sample whatever. It'd probably be 15 records in a one hip hop record. Biz has his case where, we got to figure out sampling laws. So then it moved to another thing, and that's what I'm saying. Dre sort of morphed it to, we got samples in there, but the combining of
live instrumentation
and just the way he made that album sound. So when you say engineering, there's a recording aspect and there's a mixing aspect.
And you
then
do
there's
both.
also a master. Yeah, I do both. Yeah.
You do mastering also now?
Slight mastering. I've done mastering on like projects where when we at Jamil are trying to get our artists out, we do a lot of projects before they actually do the album. You heard a lot from Rhapsody before she did the album, right? So those I master. Then when we get to a certain point, I want another master engineer because I want another set of ears on it. Mm-hmm. So Tony Dorsey is normally who I use. But there's a bunch of good dudes out there. Mastering is a whole other process. That's taking 12 songs and making them all sound like one cohesive thing. They may have come from the same mixer. They may have come from 12 different mixers. They may have come from 3 or 4 different mixers, different rooms, different times. So making it all sound like one cohesive project. Also, so that when you go from number 3 to number 4, the volumes don't jump. Like all those different things.
All the levels is correct.
Yeah.
My first mastering session, this is not me stunting at all. I saw DJ Quick took me to Bernie Grumman.
Incredible.
And so I'm looking at Bernie Grumman and him,
Incredible.
This guy is, Big Bass Brian was doing actually.
Yeah.
So at Bernie Grumman, Bernie Grumman was the mastering facility But Big Bass Brian is the name you will see mastered on all the West Coast, Dr. Dre, NWA records. But I never saw that process. So imagine me taking a Quick album with Quick to let Big Bass Brian. So I'm like,
incredible.
It's incredible. Like, and I didn't understand. I heard the difference that day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a loud room, kind of like at a comfortable level, and they're just bringing frequencies up and just making it sound big. And I was like,
one, you sitting with one of the masters of the sound, which is DJ Quick. So
absolutely.
Quick is giving him. I hate to use drug references, but it's like the more pure the coke is, the better the cut is going to be. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one.
Quick is a master with that. So I've said it many times. To me, Quick, Battle Cat, Dre is what I look at as sonically who sets the sound for me on the West. But then Bernie, his whole house, as you said, has become sort of synonymous with that sound, with the mastering. The same way sort of like Master Disc, in New York was for us with a lot of Def Jam stuff and with Tony Dorsey and what he was doing. So, again, you find somebody that's good and that understand the sound, that really care.
Yeah.
And also with your mastering engineer too. When you're working with super big artists like that, we make a lot of changes at the last minute.
Yes.
So our mastering guy has to understand, like, work with me. I may be, sending you songs the very, very last second and replace this, replace that. Just, a comfortable working relationship with somebody that knows what you want, but also has their ear. It's like a barber. It's like you go to the barber, and because he's good at what he does, but you yourself are really in charge. Do you want a round fade? Do you want a square fade? Do you want a temple taper? Do you, you're in charge, but you asking this person to do something for you, and you going to them for their expertise at doing whatever you need them to do.
Yeah. So DJing, you being a DJ got your interest in the whole sound part of it, right?
Just hip-hop in general, sound in general, hip-hop in general. DJing was the foundation. That was it.
And you still DJ to this day?
Yeah, absolutely. But that was the foundation of, like, figuring out how to make people move.
Got it.
And figuring out if I threw on this record. We had a project in Wilmington called Compton. So if I threw on Straight Outta Compton, it's guaranteed it's going to be a fight.
Really?
You know what I mean? Just guaranteed.
Because it's just the energy.
It represents a certain area of Wilmington. Like, they probably never thought of it, but there's a bunch of places named Compton. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Besides the Compton they talking about.
Where I'm from.
So it's like, you know what I mean? It gives a certain energy. Or being able to, like, take people on a ride for and back then it was 4 hours. It wasn't just celebrity come in, DJ for an hour, DJ for 2 hours. It was a full night of a party. So that was my real thing. And it also gave me an identity in the hood. Which was a real which was a real interesting thing. Like, by the time I'm 12 years old, I'm already behind the rope.
Got it.
So I don't got to front to nobody. I don't got to act like I'm harder than what I am. I don't have to be something other than myself. I'm not awkward in the party. I have a position. I have a place to stand. I have a thing to do in the party. So it gave me a position. You know what I mean?
Like, can you explain, right, just being from Delaware, right? Because I'm from Philly. Philly is always looked at like the big brother. Like, New York is always bigger than Philly, right? Delaware is just like on your way to D.C.
Yeah, people don't want to say it, but we look at Philly as the big brother. People would never say that. Delaware people would never tell you that. But yeah, to a certain extent,
is it a pride thing?
It's a pride thing. We got like different we such similar cousins. We all like to get our hair cut. We all like to eat steaks. We all have a thing about our area. But then Delaware has a little bit of slang that's different. And then you got to remember too, in the '80s, you had crews that was coming from Philly coming down to Wilmington, trying to take over. Yeah. So it was like there was a beef that was happening that way.
Oh, y'all trying to sun us a little bit.
Like the Yayo Boys is famous from Philly. People from Delaware will know, and people from Philly will know. They try to come down. And it was like, it was a back and forth thing. But we look at Philly for style, for slang. When I'm young, I was record shopping in Wilmington on 4th Street, but I would definitely go to Philly to go to Funko Mart. Wow. To go to Sound of Philadelphia. Those are the spots that I would stop at. You would go to Philly to test your metal against other DJs. The average DJ on the street in Philly was nice.
Damn.
Like super nice at cutting. So, and Philly set the style for us for hip hop, meaning you had to have an MC and a DJ. The DJ was way more important than the MC.
Yeah.
Right? So it's Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
That's why our DJ was always named first.
It's Fresh Going Miz. It's Cash Money and Marvelous. It's DJ Too Tough with the Tough Crew. It's like it's always a DJ that's in front of those MCs. That kind of set our thing. which was just the way I was brought up.
Yeah. Eric B. and Rakim, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you know, like, all right, you said at 12 you behind the rope, like, but.
Well, I'll give you the story. Like, so it's not no mystery. My father's best friend ran Park and Recreation. His man, that's like my second father, Mr. Sheehy. He was the head of Park and Recreation. So what they did was they had an idea, try to help curb the violence that was going on in the 80s.
Okay.
Right? So it was having midnight basketball games. We would start around 9 or 10 o'clock with the party thing when we play, and then at midnight we have basketball games, and we still have music going on. I was out in the park in the middle of the projects playing at 12 years old.
As a DJ.
With a generator because of the fact that my dad's best friend ran Park and Recreation. So that was our thing. I had turntables. I was out there, buying records. I had a paper route to go get records. Then you start doing parties. Then you take that money from the parties and go buy more records. And that's
before record pools was even a thing.
Way before record pools. Just before hip hop was a thing.
Yeah.
I want to say this too because I got people from Delaware. Wilmington ain't sweet for us. Like it's just smaller than Philly. It's not a place where you like, oh, we can just take. It's not.
Some things going on.
Well, what happens in a small town is that people feel like they got to overexert themselves. So they feel like because I'm from this area, you may think I'm soft or small or we slow or whatever. Like a lot of New York cats do that, right? They look at the South and be like, it's slow. And be like, don't come down here thinking it's sweet. The pace of life may be slower, but it's not sweet here. And there's a thing about, like, you could be in New York. I watched this. I've had conversations with a lot of my friends about this. Like, you be in Brooklyn, you be in Harlem, you come party in Manhattan, you have a problem with a dude, he go back to Brooklyn, he go back to Harlem. You may never see each other again. In Wilmington, Delaware, you're
bump into
No, you're guaranteed. I know your mother. I know where your cousins live at. I know where you party at. I know what store you. It's impossible not to run into that person again. So you got to deal with that problem.
Wow. So as a young and growing up in Wilmington, and when you got older, do you like, I know I need to get out of here to further?
To a certain degree, I was like, I didn't want to go to what we call 13th grade. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to people that went on, you know what I mean? But I was like, I had a great experience. My mother's from Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
My father's from Southeast Washington, D.C. I'm strong with my family on both sides. I don't know what it's
like. So you would go back and forth?
All the time.
With both sides of the family?
Both sides.
That's dope.
So both sides of my family is huge and they real strong, like as a family. Like I don't know that normal hip-hop thing of not knowing my father. All the men in my family are there. They present. They strong. We take, whether or not you with the woman or not, you take care of the kids. Like that's a thing with us. So
stand up.
Yeah, going to D.C. was visiting my father's side of the family. So that's, you get infused like with early go-go music. Like I said, we straight in Southeast. My father went to Spingarn High School. That's a whole D.C. experience. I got childhood D.C. friends. I also have childhood Jersey friends because of the fact that my mom is from there. So growing up, we basically around the like hillside area, but it's in Newark. So my whole family from there. So I seen a little bit more than the average dude that was on my block that never left and may have been scared to leave.
Is that right?
So a lot of people that you see from small towns, they scared to go test their mettle in New York and in Philly or in D.C. And it's just like, yo, you only going to be known here. You got to get up and go show
spread
people.
Spread your rings a little bit, man.
You're just as good as everybody else. And that's the thing you had to kind of convince people. And I was just always like, I was going back and forth and battling DJs in all of those places and having DJ friends in all those places.
Yeah, so after high school, you graduate, then you go to college. Did you go to D.C.?
I went to Howard.
Howard? Oh, yeah, he Howard.
So was that leaning towards because your dad was there? I mean, Howard's always been one of those schools, though.
It was just an incredible vibe. There's no vibe like that place, man, especially not at that time. Not like, first of all, I turned out like 30 basketball scholarships.
Yeah, we didn't even get into, he plays basketball.
Yeah, like 30. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna front like I was like recruited highly Division I. I was like lower Division I. I had a scholarship to go to NYU. Indiana University of Pennsylvania wanted me real bad.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of people, but I turned it all down because music was like, I figured I couldn't do parties on Friday and Saturday because I'd be traveling with the team, and that wasn't my dream to go to the NBA. It was my dream to do music. You know what I'm saying?
Knew you were a DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to make that choice because it was like, either you're going to take this route with basketball and try to do, and I was good at it. You know what I mean? And I was smart at it. I was smart at the game. Like, I know the game. But it wasn't my passion. It was something I liked to do.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into the NCAA trips, when you start getting into the rules, when you start getting into the...
It's a full-time gig.
People offering you money, people offering you cars. And I'm lower Division I. I could imagine what the real kids is going Drew.
Fab
You
Five
know
at
what I'm
that
saying?
time.
What was that Spike Lee movie?
Yeah, he got game.
He got game.
Yeah.
Nah, that's real. And it's not the school, it's the boosters. You know what I'm saying? The boosters that come and just offer you. But I just didn't want to play that game. Like, I loved hip-hop and the music enough that I was like, I'm willing to play the game over here and do the sacrifices that's necessary in order for me to win at hip-hop, just because I saw what it was for us, like as in a cultural sense. Like, I'm raised by revolutionaries. I'm raised by men that make you think and look at life in 30 and 40 year periods. So it's like recognizing the value of what we did with this culture is like something that I knew as soon as we made it. Nobody had to tell me that. And then I had experiences going throughout life of just reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing. It's almost like why I hate the thing, we got to change this narrative about checking in for the youngins. Checking in is necessary, and it's a good thing, and it should be done. And it's almost disrespectful to our network to not check in.
Right.
It's the one thing we have. It's the one thing we run. It's the one thing that's ours. It's the one thing that transcends nationality, cultural, like everything is hip hop. So it's like, if you're gonna disrespect our network, like, it's not about extortion. Extortion is extortion. If somebody's extorting you, they're just extorting you.
It is.
But I'm talking about checking in and being like, yo, I'm in your city, out of respect. This is, I'm moving this way. I'm just letting you know, boom, boom, boom. So this is who runs that city. And I could tell people outside of that city, this is who I would connect you with if I wanted to do something in that city. Talk to them to make sure that's okay with what you're doing. If we're trying to be really effective with what we're doing, that's what checking in is for.
So you get to Howard, do you know you're like, this is a dope college. I know I can make some money DJing in DC while I'm going to college. Was it one of those kind of plays?
The very first day that I got to school, first of all, like I said, my family from DC. So the culture shock that people may have, or like I'm in a different area, and that wasn't for me, right? As soon as I get there, my uncle, my mother, they doing my room. My uncle was just good with his hands. He putting track lighting up. I walked directly to the student radio station before my stuff was even in the room.
You're like, where can
Where's
I get
the
a show?
student radio station?
I want to be on.
A good friend of mine now, her name is Elsa, was just sitting in a chair, and I was just like, how do I get a radio show?
Wow.
Just like that. But I walked in with the attitude.
TV film stuff?
Yes.
I know exactly who you're talking to.
Yes.
Shout out to Elsa, dope ass writer.
Here's the thing. You got to remember, at this time, Howard got all of y'all there.
But I didn't know that at first.
Yeah.
So you got to remember, I'm going there in 92. Bad Boy don't start until, there's not even a rumbling of Bad Boy until 95.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
92 on campus, D-Dot and Ron Lawrence is doing it. They two kings in a cipher.
Okay.
Right? Puff is at Uptown.
This is when like NWA, not early 90s.
Yeah.
But it's
like Beat Nuts and stuff.
Marlon
Well, okay, so Marlon's in my crew. Marlon is part of my crew. Matter of fact, when we started, I'm skipping around, but when we started our production company, right, the production company that later on became RNF, which became Tracy Lee, who had a deal.
Wait, hold on, bro. I didn't know you was a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my crew. So
shout out to Tracy Lee.
I'll take you through the whole process. The first time I get there, I go do a radio show, right? I'm like, give me a radio show. Yeah. I didn't know it was just a student radio station, so it didn't matter. I had a radio show. Then
what you call the radio show?
It was just it didn't have a name. It was just I was just doing.
You just had a time slot.
Yeah, time slot. And was doing hip hop, and I was learning radio. I was learning what a power song was. I was learning what a recurrent was. I had never done. I just knew.
Then just play all new shit.
I just knew.
You better play something familiar.
Yes,
got it.
I just knew how to DJ, but it gave me the radio format, and it also gave me an introduction to the people that was giving away promo records. So like Ducky U. Rozzy Roz, all of those people. This is my introduction.
DC.
Yes, all of my.
Ducky U is a street promoter.
Yes.
I did street promotion in LA, but that was my DC street promoter.
Absolutely.
And has a sneaker shop in DC now.
Oh yeah. Back then people would have accounts, so it wasn't just one. Maybe in New York or maybe in LA, people had they label that they work for. If you was in DC, you had accounts. So you had like 5 different, 6 different, you know what I mean, labels, accounts and labels that you would give out the records to.
Yep.
So that was my introduction to that. What I also did was there was a hip hop conference there, very, very monumental in terms of me getting where I had to go. At that time, there was a hip hop conference at Howard, and I remember the Fushnikins in a battle, and that's how they won and got their deal. I remember a Tupac walking around campus with a 555 soul on and the hat. Him going to a party that Biz was DJing that night. Like, just all of that was going. Diggable Planets is walking around campus. Just all of this. And Shy is there. Yeah. All this energy is going on.
Great networking for you.
Great networking. I entered into the DJ competition freshman year, and I won the DJ competition at the hip hop conference. Wow. That's how I met Tracy. Amiri Baraka, who has become one of my better friends. His father is the famous Amiri Baraka, the poet. Right? His son came up to me and just stepped to me and was like, yo, you got to be down with us. So it was that easy.
You and I have the same kind of, like, I wouldn't trade the 90s experience for nothing, bro. Nothing. Like, me doing street promotions in the 90s with Ducky U and all them, like, that was, and, you know, I started off with the Far Side as a sound man. So all that I experienced made me who I am today and made you who you are today.
Absolutely.
So we have the same time. Like, you mentioned all them, like, yeah, that's it. We were just doing it. We were young doing it, but it was such a, hip-hop was still booming at that time. Like, it was still growing. Like, you just got in where you fit in.
And it was a thing, too, of us doing records, learning, like, okay, so us as a crew, what we did was we was like, all right, I already had enough parties. Like, I came in mashing. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to the DJs that was in D.C. because they embraced me. They made space for me. You know, I didn't come with this bravado of, like, move out the way, but I definitely came with a, like, I'm here. So, like, a DJ CeeLo and an Iron and, like, all the people that was DJing, like, they became, like, my guys. It was just a bunch of people.
And they let you eat, they welcomed you.
It was that sort of thing, or it was a thing of where certain DJs would be like, yo, this promoter's getting on my nerves. They double booked us for this night. Don't answer your phone. I'm gonna come pick you up. Me and you gonna go. We started banding together to be like,
you had a coalition before a coalition was
we're not gonna have the promoters just treat us any old way.
Nice.
So we started doing that, and then that's when brothers, like, I was like, all right, so if I got a go-go spot, if I'm at the Ibex on Wednesday, if I got my Friday and Saturday party, you know, or a Friday and Sunday party, then Saturday is for the crew. So we started throwing parties. So, of course, my crew is from New York, Philly, Jersey, and I'm from Delaware and Philly, right? I said Philly. Yeah. Philly, Jersey, New York, Delaware. So we started pulling a lot of the New York DJs down. We would throw our own parties, but then, you know, like once a month, it would be, okay, SNS is going to come down.
Oh, yeah, big deal.
Then the next month, Kid Capri is going to come down. Then the next month, Ron G is going to come down. Then we had enough money, you know what I'm saying, one time where we got like a bunch of just like, at the time, what we would consider like mid-level people that wasn't going to cost us $1 million. So it was just like, we had Duck Down, we had Common perform, we had Super Nat. This is all on the same bill. Then a real like super drunk ODB figures out that that's where the hip hop's at that night
and come down,
and he just come in with the ODB energy of I'm performing, and we like, cool. You want to give us a free show?
Ooh, yeah. You just want to be. We would have called you anyway, but cool.
It was that type. So we take all that money. And I'd take $50 off the party, something minimal for me to go buy beer, something like that. And all that money went to us recording. This is when you couldn't record at home. So it'd be like all the stuff that we need, the reels and the DATs and the whatever it costs, the studio time, everything from the Saturday party went to that.
And who was the artist that was you?
So the artist we had, Tracy Lee, Now, our whole group was called RNF. Tracy Lee was a solo artist. We had a group called One Step Beyond, which is Mike and Mid. Mitty is, who I told you is one of my best friends. He's now second in command of the city of Newark. He's chief of staff underneath of his brother, Raz Baraka.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, moving.
Mike is a principal in the Bronx, right? We had the Reaps, who was another group from Jackson Avenue in the Bronx. So that was Feeve, Pie, and Born. Pie is who did the on Tracy Lee's his party time. They basically all got deals. Mike and Mid was messing with Puff and got a production deal with Bad Boy. We had the like Bad Boy jackets before anybody on campus. We had 2 of them and was trading them off. So if you go to class, you give me yours, and it looked like we got 8 of them, right?
That's the way you do it. Yeah.
Right?
Get it off.
Yeah. So it was that sort of thing. Trey was the one who all the way made it. Trey had 3 deals. You know what I'm saying? He had a deal. He had 2 deals before he got with Mark Pitts, right? And if you remember at that time, Mark was managing Big. So Mark started.
So that's how big he got on that Tracy Lee project?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. That makes sense.
You also got to remember that our OGs, and I'm not going to front and sit like me and Puff was best friends. You know what I'm saying? Like Puff is like doing what he doing. Trey might be closer to that side. Mitty may be closer to there because of his brother. I'm closer to Derek Angeletti and to Chucky Thompson, to the producers. So all of these people are, you know what I mean? Chucky is taking me and Derek is schooling us. He's sort of like the drill sergeant. Like, while he's making records for Sugar and like, Derek is allowing us to be in the studio watching this.
So you cool with Chucky.
Chucky's my OG. Now, it's beyond cool.
No, I saw your post when he passed away, and I'm like, now, man, you were there from the get-up. He brought you in.
Oh, Chucky definitely brought, like, that's my direct, like, as much as Dot is my drill sergeant and Dot is the person that you're supposed to go see before you get in the military, you know how you got to go to basic training? Like, every producer should go through D-Dot basic training.
Wow.
Every producer.
Shout out to D-Dot.
Number one. Chucky was my talent. I had never seen somebody that talented that could play. Chucky played every instrument with wind instruments. Every one.
Ridiculous.
And don't read a lick of music. He just listened.
By ear.
And
Church boy
you get
stuff.
a Mary J. Blige album. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Chucky was. And, but Chucky
making
was.
Sense now.
Yeah, he's also the guy that's like, yo, Goo, I just bought this 4.6 range. Drive me home. You can go front with it tonight.
I want to
Big
pause.
brother.
I want to pause this real quick because
Oh,
a
man.
lot of stories you hear in hip hop are like, yo, and I'm not saying you didn't have the story, but it's more like, yo, we were street dudes, and then we was drug dealing, and we got in. But from you, you know, you get your name Young Guru because you're teaching kids in the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have a
you're
strong
history,
family
right?
background. You go to college. You know, you're doing all these different things. Y'all putting money together. Like, you can't put the average 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds and get some money. Like, all right, we're going to trust whoever to hold this money, and we're going to make sure that we follow through on this deal while we're still getting our education. Tracy Lee right now, he's a lawyer.
Yes.
Buzz. Like, he's a lawyer today.
Yeah.
So it's like, y'all some real smart dudes playing in the middle of the Sharks, but not sweet.
But,
you know what I'm saying?
I will say this, and it's also a point to what you just said. Number one, like I said, I was raised by men, and I was raised by revolutionaries, number one. So, you know, even though we from the hood, we always had a position. You know what I'm saying? You got, you know, it's like that old West Coast saying, we'd be like, is you slanging or you banging?
Yeah,
They two different things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we never had to front the role to nobody. Our role was always revolutionary from the very beginning. Number two is, I don't have that normal story of like I got into the music business and somebody took advantage of me and this is that. No. From the very beginning, I had OGs that was like, yo, this is what it is. Wow. Mark and Wayne is sitting us in a room, like especially Wayne, you know, and with a whiteboard. And this is the first time anybody explained published to me. When I'm like 19. And it's like, okay, this is this half, this is the writer half, this is the producer half. This is how I go. If a sample gets thrown in here, this is it may be in the contract that come from the producer side or the artist side. They giving us the game. We had conferences that was telling us like this is what this is. So we didn't have that. I don't have that story. And then as I progress and go through, I was just with good dudes. And then I end up with the dude that's like the ultimate good dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it can be partly off choice of who you choose to be with and who you choose to go with. But I would be remiss to be like it's disrespectful to how thorough those men are. You know what I'm saying? And
you want to make sure you talk about character.
Yeah, their character is serious. Like not to say nobody make mistakes. I make mistakes. They made mistakes.
Yeah.
We don't always make the right choices, but their intent was always to make sure that you was good, and it was always leading by example. It was never just talking about it. It was always actually doing it. You got coaches that like sit in a car and watch the basketball team run. You got some that get on a bike, and you got some that run with you. And the dude that's running with you, now you got some coaches that's so good that they can go to the front and set the pace for the fastest person. They're going to fall all the way back and get the fat kid and push him all the way up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those type of, there's a difference in coaching. So I was just lucky enough to be around thorough men, like, and women. And I can't be remiss. I would be remiss because a lot of my career is based off women. My very first gig is with Nonchalant. That woman took me around the world. You know what I'm saying?
So you were a tour DJ.
I was a tour DJ and we're on the Fuji tour. I'm with Lauryn Hill.
Bro, so you're a part of history.
I'm with Lauryn Hill on the score. You know what I mean? With the whole 3 months, we was the opening act in Europe for the Ready or Not tour.
Wow. And Nonchalant is 5 in the morning.
Yeah, 5 in the morning. Yeah, that was a hit single. And we was signed directly to MCA, no subsidiary. Directly to MCA.
So you were part of this early, out of college, Nonchalant.
That was 96. And so 90, I went to school in 92. 96, I leave to go deal with Nonchalant. Trey blows up single in 97.
Well, so you worked on You worked on Tracy Lee's album.
No. When
The Crew.
Everybody was working on Trey's album. 96, I go on tour. And in my times of coming home and doing parties, we did this. I lived on 6th in Florida, right? Literally on Florida Avenue, and the crew lived down the block and around the corner. So it's literally one block and a corner. So we had 4 cats living in this house. You know what I'm saying? Joint was $1,000 back then. Nothing, $250 a month to live on Florida Avenue with a 5-bedroom.
Which is unheard of.
That joint like $4,000 a month now.
Yeah.
Right? Other 4 members lived around the corner. So I would come home, normal, situation. I go get up with the guys. We smoking, we drinking before I go to the club. Trey's all the way upstairs in his room by himself writing. And everybody was just like, leave him alone. And he was just writing. He would never come out. He just write. And he wrote his album that way. Like, wow. And we would give him beats, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in the crew got beats on there, but it was like you heard it when he was ready to and that's how Trey made that. It was him, them beats, and the D'Angelo album. And he was just writing.
That book, only reason I mentioned Tracy Lee because it's one of those albums that was a dope album, but then nothing really, he didn't, like, after that, it wasn't.
It went under the radar, and I wish a lot of what, it's a classic. I wish I knew what I know now. You got to also remember that we're coming underneath of Mark Pitts, who's associated with Big, and then obviously there's the bad boy aspect, right? People don't remember Trey dropped in between 2 double albums, which was Wu-Tang Forever.
Wow.
Then there was a Tracy Lee album, then the Big album, double album.
Yeah.
After Big's death. Yeah. So the timing of those two, you know what I mean? It was, and we begged Puff, but we couldn't get sticker rights to say that Big was on the album.
Damn.
Yeah, because you're right. It wasn't promoted.
We couldn't get. We begged for it.
And it was keep your hands high, something.
Then the other part of it was,
I get
if
it
you
now.
realize Big had never really done a
Features?
nationwide tour.
Got it.
He did spot dates, but he never did a Hard Knock Life tour.
Damn.
If you think about it, and that was being set up, and Trey was going to be the opener on that. Because Mark was in charge of that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like everything changed when Big
setup,
died.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything changed. Everything changed.
Man,
So when did you go to school for engineering?
As soon as I got back from going on tour with Nonchalant. So I already knew basically how to work stuff in the studio, but I wanted to make sure I knew everything. Like I had never recorded a rock record. I had never recorded a gospel album. It was just strictly me in the studio, hip hop. So it was me going in there and being like, not only that, it was a small school, Rockville, Maryland, right? The best move I could make, called Omega Recording Studios. And this is back before the IARs. This is back before like going to school for engineering.
So you wasn't an intern or a runner for a studio.
I went to school for it.
It was a school.
And Rockville is not too far from DC. So
right. On the red line, you would take the red line, go out to Rockville, and in that studio they had a Neve, a SSL, API.
So you had all Neve, SSL, like those
all
are
the
two
major formats.
Major formats, right?
And back then, I'm dating myself, but there was no such thing as Pro Tools. We had just the
Reels.
what you would call a DAW class was Sonic Solutions. It was a mastering, only 2 tracks, right? So it was like a mastering. That was being in the computer at the time.
And a DAT, you had a DAT machine, which was
digital
audio tape, right?
You learn how to record on tape. So
were you like one of the only black students in the class?
Yeah,
in the 90s.
Yeah, but I was dumb serious. So
see, that happened to me. That's what discouraged me. And just tell you, back I went to school for recording. This is 90 though, and I'm the only black guy in the class. And I went to a junior college in Huntington Beach. What pissed me off and discouraged me, and follow me on this, Guru. Anytime they talked about anything low end frequency or that hip hop,
right.
Yeah, I'm like, dog, Police Sting is one of my favorite artists of all.
Right.
I'm on that type time. Like, Steely Dan's my favorite group. Don't talk to me. I listen to hip hop. Of course, I'm a hip hop head, but don't just single me out when it comes to 63 hertz, 80 hertz, and you talking about this low end shit. Then all the rock shit, y'all just talk to the kids. Like, I know who Satriani. Like, I know these motherfuckers. Like, not just. And I got pissed. I'm like, well, fuck y'all. I'm out. Like. And that's when I went on tour with the Far Side and all that. But I literally wanted to be a recording engineer. That's why I love what you do and you brand yourself, because Bruce Swedien was my favorite engineer to listen to. And I'm like, Bruce Swedien, if you guys don't know, if you Google the name.
Michael Jackson.
All Michael Jackson
all of Quincy's, you know what I mean? Just the biggest stuff. But also all the way back to like Big Girls Don't Cry.
Yes.
Like
you do your homework.
Making records back then, all the way till I got Thriller. You know what I'm saying? And that's like, it's so much.
But you can hear the difference in the mixes and sonically how it sounded. So I want to be that guy.
But it's so important for, I don't know who's watching, but like if you go into, you know, like golf and you're the only one there, and it feels uncomfortable for you to fight through that, because then if you fight through,
I'm used to being in that space, so
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
it's not foreign to me. If I go into a physics conference and I look like this, people are gonna start looking at me. You know what I'm saying? But then when we start having a conversation, you're gonna understand I know what I'm talking about.
Got
You
it.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with music. It's like I go in, you're gonna look at me as hip hop, but then because we beat diggers. I've always been a beat digger. It started as that. I can have a conversation with you about all forms of music. So I'm used to being that. I went to, you know what I'm saying? Like I went to a Catholic, all boys, all white school and don't feel weird about it. You see what I'm saying? I was
just used to
always
it.
me. Or that thing, my household, it's just like, it's so many images. Like my walls are Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Paul Robeson. My mom has the Big Moore picture before it became popular. You know, like that's the walls in my house. You know what I mean? Like that's what's going on in the household. So the image thing wasn't nothing for me. It was always about like, I'm getting this information.
That's why you and Ninth Wonder are hella close, because y'all cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, that's my guy. Like we you know, we basically are the same person except Ninth don't drink and smoke.
Right.
You
Y'all,
know
I'm just saying y'all have the same energy.
Yeah. So you leave Rockville and you like, all right, I'm ready to bust ass. What was the first project you worked on?
Nonchalant.
Wow.
Her second album.
Okay.
So that's what really killed it was Chucky was the one that was like, yo, you should engineer this.
I don't recall it.
It didn't come out. So the thing was she had signed an MCA. She was doing a second album. Chucky becomes the executive producer. We start working on that album. It's my first engineering gig. MCA shelves the album. So it got me in with Chucky.
Got it.
So then now Chucky is pulling me to New York to go engineer on anything he's doing. Because you got to remember, it wasn't just Bad Boy back then. It was the Bad Boy producers was mashing the game.
Yeah.
So Puff had, you could literally walk into Bad Boy and there was a whiteboard that had like 30 remixes on it. You know what I'm saying? Like 30 different slots of songs that needed to be remixed, and Puff would have a dat and an acapella. And it's just like, Derek might try one, Chucky might try one, Young Lord might try one, Nash might try, and whoever got the best one, that's who win.
Got it.
That's the process. You know what I'm saying?
Daddy's house or something?
At Daddy's house. So it was just like anytime Chuck went to New York, he would pull me with him, but it was also side projects that he's doing. So like say he does a song on the Have Plenty soundtrack, right? He redid a Michael Jackson song, but then there's this drummer that comes in there and his name is Questlove. It's the first time I get to record Questlove. It's early, you know, like all of those things was going on with Chucky while he was pulling me. We was just doing so much in New York. And he was just getting my chops up with working with a bunch of different people. That was really Chucky.
So he trusted your process, and you're like, I'm learning.
No, he's training me.
He's training.
It's not even about trusting. He's training. Chucky is the first person that's like, this is the music reel. This is the vocal reel. You're going to put all the music on here, then you're going to bounce a 2-track over here, then we're going to record Faith vocals on here, the whole chorus, then we're going to bounce that chorus back to 2 tracks over here, then we're going to record her leads.
That's crazy.
This is Chuck teaching me. It's not even about it's just him training me. Because he was like, yo, you got the sound. He was like, he sat me in a room with Tony Maserati, right? And he was just like, just a beat.
Come on, man.
And he was just like, if you could figure out what he know, you could be just as good or better than him because you got stuff that he'll never know.
Tony Maserati was doing a bunch of, if he did BBD stuff,
he did so much.
He did a bunch of stuff,
ridiculous.
back in the 90s. So
much.
You saw that name, you were like, oh yeah, it's cracking.
Still to this day, it's
not saying you didn't have the confidence, but what was that record that you did with Chucky that it was a big record and you was like, yo, I did that?
I tell you what, the big, it may not have been a huge record. It was the first time where Chucky used one of my beats.
What do you mean beats? Like
we doing, like I said, we doing a bunch of stuff. Before he had a song, a remix that he was gonna do for David Hollister, and before a Faith session, I flipped a beat underneath for the David Hollister acapella, and Chucky was like, "That's it, like no ego, no nothing." He was like, "You get the check, you get the. I'm a co-producer, I'm placing, but I wanted to say your name, and it's gonna say co-produced by me." That was like the biggest feeling I had versus just like. There's been times, you know, I've been working on Mary stuff with him, working on like, you know, just a bunch of different Faith stuff, Bad Boy stuff, Born Americans, like just all the stuff Chucky was doing. But that one time with that David Hollister was like, oh, word, like you love this beat too? Like that was the moment. But Chucky was just a good dude. He also taught me like I said, I had thorough teachers. He taught me the lesson of, okay, you just did this project, you're getting a $50,000 check. do not know when you're getting another one. How you gonna live for the next 6 months, 8 months if you don't get no more, if you don't make no more money, how you gonna break this 50 up? Don't go out here and like, okay, so break this part up, pay your bills with this, go have fun with just this part, put this away.
Wow.
He was that guy.
He was that guy because we not getting a check on Friday. Nobody's taking the taxes out. He's training me how to live our lifestyle of like, don't go too far. Don't go too crazy.
But you don't know yet.
He like, I know what I did the first time I got a 50. So let me explain to you how this works.
Got it.
I'm gonna set it up so we gonna, you know what I mean? You're gonna get a 5 here, 10 here, but that's not nothing of this is guaranteed.
Yeah.
So Chucky is your man. You're learning. You're cutting teeth, whatever. So like I know what you're saying. Like, what was the first?
But that was it though, right? Like that changed everything for you.
It did. It definitely did. It changed a lot. That and then Chucky's ability to be like, I was. It got to be 99, and I was feeling like I was coasting in DC. Like I didn't feel like I was when I'm not elevating and I'm just doing this and everything is comfortable. It scares the shit out of me because I'm just
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable to just be comfortable and coasting. It's like I'm not getting better. So
you want to be challenged.
I had DC like to a point where like I could walk in any club, drink for free, get whatever party I wanted. But it's like, yo, all your people graduated in 96. It's 3 years. Yeah, you'll go to campus. People gonna show you love, but like, are you gonna get trapped in high school for the rest? You know, like you're gonna be
the 13th grade for college.
You're gonna be 50 years old talking about the touchdown you scored in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that was my thing of I gotta get to New York. It's happening in New York. So then it's the same thing. I go to Derek. You know what I mean? It's not like me stretching out. It's not like me, I got to go starve and all this. You know what I'm saying? I went to Derek. He had Jimmy Henchman's studio at the time. So when Jimmy Henchman was locked up, Derek was using that for Crazy Cat. So as Crazy Cat is developing and he's doing this, you know what I mean? He got the deal. He pulls me up and I'm engineering all the Crazy Cat stuff. So in that 1 year, I'm working for another Howard dude, but on the Mad Rapper album, you know what I'm saying, is Busta Rhymes, is Eminem, is Puff, is the Beatnuts. It like now I'm doing records with all of them, and I'm also in New York. So then if it's just okay, we're not doing at this very second, we're not doing nothing. I could mix a Brat record. I could all of that was going on. Then Goody Mob come and they like, yo, we need beats from Derek, and Derek's like, yo, okay, go to the closet and get Coptic, number 7, get Kanye number 2, get this. Derek's doing the same thing that Puff was doing. Puff had the Hitmen. Derek got a group of 6, 7 producers underneath for him, one of which happened to be Kanye West.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you worked on the Mad Rapper project.
Absolutely. My name is on every single song. I got scratches on there. I got mixes on there. I recorded it. The only thing I didn't record was when he did the Raekwon verse. He came out here. He came to L.A. to do the Raekwon verse.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
It's a lot of hip-hop history.
And does it frustrate you that people think of you and some people only think, oh, that's Jay-Z or Rockefeller?
I don't get mad.
I'm mad, but you don't know. Like you don't know.
If you learn the history, you learn the history.
Yeah.
I'm also getting better at this, right? Like I was, again, it go back to my upbringing. My father's famous words. I say this all the time to our artist, Ruben Vincent, where I'm just like, grown men don't beg for attention. That was instilled in me. So part of it is me learning the new generation I gotta show, because they're not gonna understand if you don't show. And it's not all the time for me to be bragging, it's for me to help other people. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if the attention come because of somebody like, I didn't know that, but I don't put my plaques up, I don't do none of that. Because for me, it's like, I'm worried about what I'm doing tomorrow. But I get it. I get why people need that sometimes. So I'm getting better with it. But I don't know, man. I'm always worried about what the next record is. Once I do the record, that's the record.
It's over.
Yeah.
You're not gloating.
What was the project that turned the corner? Turned the corner for you. Like people starting to call you more because they like what you did, or sonically what they heard you involving, or like.
Absolutely getting with Jay, and that's why again too I don't mind when people say that, or I don't mind hits. Like some artists, they're like, I've heard Quest say this before. He's like, oh, I gotta play Silent Treatment again. You know what I mean? Yes, I want to hear it. Me, that's one of my favorite songs.
I told him. Yeah, I went to one of these shows and I said this to Black Thought. I'm like, y'all was performing the House of Blues. I want to see Silent Treatment in full. Y'all went and did the hook and got out of it. I was like,
but imagine doing that song since you was a teenager.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying? Like you tired of it, and but at the
like
same
De La
time,
Soul, they hate.
At the same time, if I go see Frankie Beverly and Maze,
they're gonna give it
and
to
I
you.
don't do, and they don't do before I let go, I'm gonna be heated.
For sure.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't hate my hits. I don't mind the fact that, like, okay, if you got introduced to me through Jay-Z, that's fine. If you define a sound through that, because I am a big part of that. And it's something I'm super proud of. And it's something that, you know, when you look back on again, history and us and what we did, and not just us as Rockefeller, but us as hip hop, like that time, man, it's the 90s is so fun, just like making them records, controlling the scene, like not just making a record, like controlling the scene, like what it feel like to like literally record something and hand it to him, and he runs to Angie to go play it on the radio.
Bro, you know you have an advantage of being an engineer because you're an engineer, you're a DJ, so you probably in the studio be like, you know what this swing could be like. You probably thinking of like, hey guys, we should. You're very probably vocal on like this sonically can go with this right now.
Part of it is A&Ring, but again, you know what I mean? I don't want to take away,
no,
like,
I get
and say I should have A&R credit, because I also have a lot of respect for the other aspect of A&R, right? The business side of A&R, which is the part that I love, that when people do that well, because I hate that part. Right? And I don't hate it like that. I just don't like paperwork. It's not me. I want to give you the list of the samples. You go clear them. You know what I'm saying? If I got to get in on a negotiation on the phone, that's fine. But all of that, like but it's admin is necessary. You know what I'm saying?
You're not an admin guy.
I'm not an admin guy. I'm gonna make the record.
You're hands-on.
Yeah.
Want to make it.
I'm in the studio. I make the record. I'm with the artist. I'm designing. Where what I do is going to set off what marketing can do, what your product manager can do. You got to give them the right thing.
The key word he said, designing.
Yeah, but you stand in your own lane and you understand the lane that you're in,
right?
And that you're comfortable. Your zone of genius.
Because I'm not the star. I help make the star. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's if Michael Jordan trainer want to be Michael Jordan, there's a problem. You should take pride in, I'm the dude that trained Michael Jordan. I did his health. I did it. I gave him what to eat. I told him how much weights to lift, how much. You know what I'm saying? But you at yourself didn't go out and score the 50. He scored the 50.
Yeah,
but you still proud. You know what I mean? That's how I feel when I look at either from Jay all the way down to Rhapsody, all the way down to anybody on Jam, like Ruben, all of them. It's just like, I'm proud to, like, let's put this out to the world, and I'm going to help you do the best you can, or I'm at least the dude that is making all of the gadgets for 007 before you go on the mission. I'm going to make sure you got everything you need, and if it's a special new thing that'll help you win, here you go.
Yeah. Which Jay-Z project was it that really put the spotlight on you as an engineer?
Blueprint. I would have to say Blueprint.
Let's go back. But talk about your connection with Memphis Bleak.
Oh, yeah.
Because Memphis Bleak was the one,
Yeah.
right?
Bleak brought me in. Bleak brought me in. That's my brother. That's like, brother's not a strong enough word. He is the definition of a stand-up dude. He's the definition of loyalty. He's the definite. Now, he's also the person that you get the exact same person every single time you're around, whether in front of his mother, in front of the police, in front of, you know what I'm saying? Any Jay.
Ain't no switching up.
No switching up. And he's the most steady person. What happened was one of my guys was either having a baby or got sick or something like that. Like I told you, it was like me, Pat, Brian, Dora. We would switch. Like people would cover other people. Yeah. And that's how good we had a relationship. Did a session with Bleak. Lenny fronted on me too.
Lenny, yes?
Right, yeah. Lenny was like, yo, y'all gonna send me the new guy?
Hey, Lenny.
He's one of our FAQ guests.
Damn,
nah,
Lenny.
but you know, Lenny's my guy, and I give a lot of credit to Lenny
Kodak
too, because Lenny's also, he had to okay it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then me and Bleak just struck a relationship for that very reason, because it was like, I'm in there recording, and while Bleak's recording, I stop and I'm just like, yo, you can say that better. You the same thing I'm used to doing with Tracy Lee, with my crew. This is normal. This is what we do. We make the records. So I think Bleak was a little taken back by that. Like, yo, he's correcting me? And I was like, yeah, like this is you could pick a better flow. Sometimes MCs, just by taking out the or it or something like that, it makes the flow go a million times better. So I'm talking to him about how to make the record better, and then I need him back.
Wow.
That's just, and me and Bleak been together since, you know what I'm saying, since then. Like, to this day, he just hit me and was just like, yo, I'm in Vegas yesterday. Like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bleak, man.
Yeah. So it opened up from Bleak to, you know.
Hove was coming over. I think one day, what was we working on? Just was producing something for Bleak. And Hove, people forget that Hove is also running the label. You know what I'm saying? People forget that part.
Oh, not only an artist, but he's running the label.
So especially with Bleak, you know what I'm saying? He's coming over to check on Bleak's album, how he's doing. And that same session, Bleak had got done early. Just was there. And Jay had me put up, I think it was Stick to the Script. His reel was actually there too. Because back then it was like, he was like, is my reel here? Because it was like you had to have your actual reel. Your reel might have either been at Sony, Hit Factory. It could be anywhere, wherever your last session was. So he was like, is my reel here? I was like, yeah, I put that up. I think he did like Stick to the Script that night. Wow. At the same time, Baseline is being built, right? So Juan, Malik Sealy is putting together Baseline. The walls ain't even finished yet, but we stopping over there like this gonna be the new spot. Boom, boom, boom. Bink was in there. Bink was working on, Bink was working on a couple tracks early before the walls was done. So that was, they was like, yo, you and Bleak come over here. We're gonna localize everything so that we can stop paying. We was paying $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a day at the Hit Factory.
I got to pause you. We Malik Sealy. Are we?
Rest in peace.
We talking about basketball player Malik Sealy.
Rest in peace.
What was his involvement in?
Him and Juan, just, you know, Juan was always with the basketball, always at the Roc A, you know what I'm saying? And him and Juan had a relationship. So if anybody that's ever been in Baseline, especially in the early days, we had all of Malik Sealy's jerseys on the wall. There was a reason why we had all those jerseys.
I never knew that.
Him and Juan were together in the building of that studio.
Wow.
Yeah. So rest in peace to him, man. He had a bit, but that was OG's connection. Everybody know, you know what I mean? OG had teams in the Roc A, like that whole thing. So that was the connection.
Good catch.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, is he
I knew that, but I
Sealy?
just,
yeah. And then, you know, the accident happened and it was crazy.
Yeah, rest in peace. So y'all start building Baseline. So now y'all have a home.
It became a Motown. It became a D&D. It became a, you know, like, if you notice in music, and especially in black music, but in music in general, like, when you localize people in small groups of people, you get the best music. Look at Motown. Look how small that building is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there might be 20, 30 people working in there, but those 20 people are, you know what I'm saying, Smokey Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go down the line, it's incredible people. Look at Death Row. It's not a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Localize all those people in the studio. Look at the incredible amount of music that comes out of that, right? I don't care where you at in music. When you put everybody in the same room and we got a spot to come, producers know they could come here. Like, that's what Baseline became. It became the spot. Damn. And it was like, you know, again, this is Jay before 40/40s, before Nets, before about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he's sitting in the front. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not he's working on an album or not. Again, he's the seat. So the flow is dope because then Bleak, Beans, Freeway, any of the guys.
Everybody working.
Yo, I just laid this verse. What you think? Yeah, I think you could change a couple words here and there. You know what I'm saying? But now your CEO is instant. You ain't got to wait till the A&R meeting. You ain't got to, you know, like, what you think who we should get for this hook? Now Jay-Z's calling to get you a hook, not just you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the flow was just incredible.
What's your fondest memory with working with Jay-Z? Is there a moment that you just like, you will never forget this moment?
Oh, man, there's so many. I don't have one fondest moment, man. It's just him as an individual. Like, it's just a thorough dude. Like, and there's no other way I could put it. He's the most thorough dude I ever met. I've never met a genius that is not throwed off. Most geniuses are really throwed off. And he's the most normal genius I ever met.
Listen, like my encounter with Jay-Z has always been 100 because I was working at Payday Records when they put out In My Lifetime. Mm-hmm. So me working with Dame and Jay, and even when he sees me today, it's still like we still have that same rapport. Like, I remember he did me a favor. He pulled up to I had him. He said he would agree to do a Powerhouse show at Power 106 just because I called him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, do you need to talk to my team? I'll make it happen. What's the budget? Whatever the budget was, I ain't going to say it, but he made it work. He didn't have to. Mm-hmm. And only thing he asked for, hey, Fuzz, I can't headline the tour. I got to jump on a flight to go interview with Oprah Winfrey. And so this is around that time. Mm-hmm. So, like, anytime first of all, I've never, like I said this before, I emailed Jay, he hit me back. Like, I don't know what, he's acting like he's still on a BlackBerry the way he responds like an email, right? Yeah. So what you're saying is he's always been a stand-up guy, bro.
Yeah, but bigger than that, man. Like, when me personally, right? Another thing Chucky taught me was how to work for people my own age.
What did it mean by that?
like Chucky's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
We relatively the same age. A lot of black men have a problem with that. So it trained me to be like, yo, this is Chucky's thing. I'm here as a support for him. If we get into, I don't want to say an argument, just we have a difference of opinion on how something should roll, he listens to what I'm saying, but then he makes a decision. Once he makes that decision, I go execute.
That's it. Yeah.
It's the same thing with Jay. You're blessed enough that if you work at IBM or wherever, you know what I'm saying, you can't talk to the boss in your cubicle. Yeah. You're not talking to him about the plans of where the company's going and none of that. And so with me, I'm talking to Jay. He knows my opinion on now. I make records with him. I don't have nothing to do with sports management. I don't have nothing to do with 40/40s. I don't have nothing. I make music. So that's what our thing is.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? That's my lane.
But for you to understand that is very key, because sometimes when people work with their boss, they see the flaws, right? You can see what's wrong, and you forget that that's the boss.
And when it's somebody that's your friend.
Yeah.
So the same way I just described the way it went with Chucky, that was a training ground for Jay. The same way. I give Jay my opinion. Jay take into account a couple people's opinion. He make a decision. Yep. I go execute.
Yeah.
That's the way it's got to roll. That's soldiering.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's really the idea of soldiering. So that lesson I learned from Chucky of sometimes we can't do that for people our own age or even more people younger than us. So as we, and it's not always just them being your boss, it's as we mature and we get older, you know what I'm saying? And I'm closing in on 50. It's like an 18-year-old is going to look at you like, what have you done in your life? You know what I'm saying? If you 50 years old and you still on the block trying to hand to hand, they looking at you like, yo, you didn't get all this since the 80s you've been out here doing this. You ain't buy a barbershop or nothing. You ain't do nothing.
You ain't grow.
They not going to respect you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you got to come to a point of saying, okay, this is a new generation and this is the way they do it. And they may not do it exactly the same way you do it. But that's the reason why we got a Shari and an Omar as co-presidents of a Roc Nation. Like, it's not going to always be just like, just because I'm this age, I got to be over you. No, they fresh and they new and they know what's going on the street. And probably you a little removed. Yeah. So let's give it to the young. Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not saying young is like that, but if you look at Shari, she was 15 years old as an intern at Roc.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's her spot. She deserved that. Yeah. And female. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you got to learn those lessons of management and of letting people express themselves and knowing where you at in time. Like, me as a parent, that's some of the lessons I've learned of, like, I used to have to parent from a point of obedience. When your kid is 5 years old, 6 years old, it's just do what I say.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, do this, do this. When they get 8, my oldest now is about to be 26. When they get in their 20s, it ain't just do what I say. It's parenting now out of love and respect. It's hopefully I've trained you enough that when you get out here, you're going to make the right decisions. Now you're going to also see that what you thought you had mastered at 18, because you did have life mastered at 18, but you was only on an 18-year-old level. Yeah. Now when you get a little older, you're going to start coming with questions and you're going to respect what I'm telling you. Yeah. So that's also in business. It's like you got to parent that way. You know what I mean? And watch them grow and like look at their expression and not have them be what you want them to be, to help them to be the best of them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question about you just to go back on studios. And do you ever, as an engineer or as a crew, you guys find the sweet spot or magic in a venue, meaning a studio or whatever, and you like, I like the way this feels, or I like you. Is there certain studios you'd like to create at?
Yeah. You find certain rooms that are like they got the right sound, or learning the room is probably the biggest and most.
What's some of your favorite spots you like being?
I like Rance's old spot. You know what I mean? Out in Inglewood.
Oh, right here.
Yes, I love that. I love that room. He got the SSL room in there. So, you know, as much as I praise Rance and as much as I've watched Rance grow and he's got the school and they've got, you know, this whole new thing, it's like I love going into the old spot right there with that AWS 900 and them Osbergers, and I get busy in that room.
Wow.
It's a little spot. I don't think they can never get rid of that spot. Too much history.
Shout out to Rance. He's been on the FAQ podcast.
Yeah, too much history. Nip recorded there. Yep. You know what I mean? Yeah. Too much history. But I get busy in smaller rooms. In New York, it's sad, but all the rooms that we used in the 90s, they all gone.
Like D&D is gone.
D&D is different now. Primo remodeled it. Hit Factory's gone.
Primo, why did he buy it?
Yeah, he bought it.
Okay.
Hit Factory's gone. Sony's gone. Sound on Sound is gone. A lot of Chungking has been sold, different floors, private people own it now.
Not the same.
The community ain't the same either. It used to be like a run you could make in New York. This is like Buck Wild walking around to a bunch of different studios playing beats for people because you knew you could go here and you knew somebody that was doing something that day. You know what I mean? Once you know that's like you pulling up to a studio in the West. You know somebody in there.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But let's say pre-internet, you know what I'm saying? Sending emails and just like, yo, I'm gonna get up. Like sometimes I'll be in Jersey and I would just get up and go to New York. I'm telling you, by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, I know I'm gonna get a session. But just so I could be available to have somebody from Def Jam call and be like, hey, we need this done, I'm already in the city.
Yeah, so the culture is some of it's culture,
it left.
And then people spread out.
Technology changed.
Technology was the big thing. So 99 was the time when like M-boxes came out. So
explain to everybody what an M-box is.
It was Pro Tools. Pro Tools is a way of you recording at home, right? It's a digital audio recording. When it first came out, a lot of engineers were like, oh, this doesn't sound as good, Me knowing computers, I'm like, it's going to get smaller and faster and better. So at first it was like, oh, this whole system costs $20,000. And it was like, you only saw it in certain studios. Okay, cool. I was getting $75 an hour to hit the Apple and the spacebar as a Pro Tools operator.
Wow.
Before anybody knew what it was.
So you was getting busy. Right? You was getting busy on Pro Tools.
Just literally, I was just getting over on the game because I was literally just setting it up because they would have another engineer recording on tape and then I would shoot what he's doing to my Pro Tools and all I had to do was just do this and I was getting $75 an hour just sitting there, right? But what it did was it allowed people now that said, okay, an M-box came out and it was like, oh, you got 2 inputs, 2 outputs. If it's an MC, singer, whatever it is, why am I paying $2,000 a day? I can go to the warehouse, I can go wherever, build me a little booth in my crib, and I can now record at home.
Is that what the terminology is? Start mixing in a box?
Yes, that's that. And when you get in the box mixing, so the very first people to feel that is the studios. I used to do projects where artists would come in, book it out for 2. This is when budgets was ridiculous. Yeah, book it out for 2 weeks just to write. No song is made, no producer got a beat. First day, come in, producers is playing beats, but it's 2,000, and it's a food budget, and it's a
definitely you can run it
4,000, 5,000. It was a whole different time.
Yeah.
So it was just like that was what was going on. It killed that business for New York, and like I said, it also killed the scene of us seeing each other every day. And now people are home, and now we're not really making records together in a room. The producer's sitting in the room and he got a vibe and then he records that and puts it on
emailing it.
And he just emailed it to somebody. Then the artists sit at home and they write a rap and then they send it back and there's no
it's disjointed.
Yeah, it's no interaction.
Did you start sonically hearing the shift?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was a learning curve. We had to learn how to mix in the box. And it was a totally different thing from mixing on tape.
But technology got better to where
technology got better, and we realized what we were missing because our aim was wrong at first. The aim for CDs was like, okay, we're gonna make it clean because everything was about take off tape hits. You know what I mean? We had a cassette tape. It was tape hits.
Yeah.
And when CDs came out, it was like, oh, they used to try to sell it to you like, look, listen how clean. There's no tape hits. So it's the same thing with in the studio. It was like, yo, I remember producers when I was showing them. Eric Sermon was one of the first ones where he pressed play on the beat. We tracking it. We in the Hit Factory. I took like 10 bars of the beat and stopped. And he like, yo, what you doing? And I just chopped out the 8 and looped it down. And he was like, you can do that?
Wow.
It was mind blowing. You know what I'm saying? Where normally we have to wait and record it for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas now you can start chopping and doing stuff at home. And it's like all this different, just plethora of things that you could do. But it didn't necessarily have the same oomph that tape had because we had master tape. So we started realizing what was missing, and you start designing that back into the plugins and back into the system.
So Pro Tools, you had to learn Pro Tools early.
Yeah, I learned it from I had a little DVD that I never bought. So all of my friends, like a normal engineer or anybody that's a musician in New York or wherever, in whatever city, all your friends work at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
They work at, all the different places. That's how they hold their stuff down. So I would walk in Guitar Center, say what's up to my guys, and there was a instructional DVD. But as I'm hanging out with I just took it out and put it in the computer there. I never bought it. And I just started taking notes. Ooh. You know what I mean? Like in the Guitar Center. And that's how I taught myself how to use
Pro Tools.
But because people was dissing it. People was just like, this is never going to last. It doesn't
So
sound good.
I heard that you had a booklet, like, because it got to a point where you were so in demand that you couldn't leave. So it was like, all right, look, here's the booklet. I got all of this stuff. Just this will get you through without me being there.
It was part of that, and it was a couple reasons for that.
Okay.
So the board, the SSL that was at Baseline, you're really not supposed to like open the SSL up. You're supposed to call Dave Malapo and get him to come fix the board. He's a board certified. You have to be certified to tamper with the SSL.
Goddamn right. Yeah.
If we're in the middle of a session and something go down, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'll wait to call him. I was fixing it myself. So we used to always call that board the Millennium Falcon because we would just take it up, fix it. This, what is labeled, may not be that at the time. So I would start writing down all the little mods and, you know what I'm saying, different stuff that was off from the patch bay. And it was also so that, like, if I'm in the B room doing something, Bleak wouldn't want to wait for me to get done doing this. So I'll be like, yo, I started writing a book and be like, go to this book, and this is how you could patch this in, that in, you know what I mean? So every time, even when Bleak got his studio at the crib, I wrote him a book and was like, this is how you just patch. It was just really about patching and how to get a signal certain places and then what to do while you in there. But that was the thing. It was like, it was constantly something going on in Baseline, and people didn't want to wait because we had whatever artist that we was about to put out. It was like a cycle. So if Bleak put out an album, then at the end of that, we kind of gearing up and starting on Beans songs, and then Beans is going to put out an album, but then Bleak is going to be on that album. Then every September, October, we put out Hove every November. Yeah. We stayed on that path for a long time. So September, October, Hove is going to record. Hove is obviously our fourth quarter artist, you know what I'm saying? But everybody piggybacking off that, and then Christmas come around, then we start all over again.
Right. And you tour. Let me ask you this. This is Fuzzy on his nerd shit. What producer, or because I'm going to see if we're on the same page, what producer have you seen master Pro Tools to make beats in? Let's see if we're on the same page. Because I've seen Just Blaze? Yeah. Will I Am.
I've never seen Will make a beat.
I know Just is a beast because he's a nerd with it. Yeah. But Will I Am is probably the fastest person I've seen. You just make all his beats in Pro Tools.
Yeah, a lot of people got to that point. It's just pick your poison. Like whatever program you work the fastest in, there's Pro Tools, there's Ableton, there's Logic, there's Fruity Loops, there's people that still use hardware. It's for me, it's the song. It's whatever gets you there the fastest. And you know what I mean? I would say just because he is sort of a nerd in terms of mastering all the programs. Like he'll buy a program just to fool around with it and be like, I don't like it. You know what I mean? Move on to the next thing.
Were you around Just and Jay Electronica early when they started doing it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were doing the exhibits and stuff? Some of that?
I'm gonna tell you what's the funny story is we didn't even look at it as a real record. So Andy, the assistant, did the mix on Exhibit. The Exhibit C doesn't have a budget. It was nobody like book a studio time. There's no label involved. Yeah. This is Jay Electronica coming to Baseline, and it was a time when it was like, he said this to me. I was like, it was just a bunch of dumb music that was coming out at the time. And you know, you fall in and out of love with hip hop. You're like, it's too much dumb music going on. And Jay Electronica was like, "Go, I'm gonna make you fall in love with this again." And he did, you know, and it's that thing. But he did Exhibit C for it was either like a radio show. I think it might have been Angela Yee's radio show or something like that. They was doing something, and then Just went up to Sirius, right? And started playing a bunch of unreleased records
that he got.
Records that had he played like a different version of Pump It Up. He played like different versions of songs and like just verses that hadn't been, and then he played Exhibit C. And nobody remembered none of the other songs that Just played that night. The phone just started going off the hook and thus burst the whole thing.
What took so long with the Jay Electronica project?
It was him.
It's him. The guy come on his time. You can't look at him as a regular, like he's not a regular artist in terms of like I gotta be on a schedule and make this. He doesn't think that.
He's not pressured.
He's not at all, and he's very clear as to who he is and what he wants to
100%.
do. And he comes at his own time. Whenever he feel the guy know when you put up the bat signal, I'm there. Yeah. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And that's it. Other than that, it's just like whenever he feel like doing it, he do it. And you gotta really, if you are friends with him, you understand that. You may not talk to him for 5 months, and then he gonna hit you every day. It's just that's how he is.
I found out he was in LA, and we just came across this picture of me and QDZ and Jay Electronica out at Key Club. But once I found out he was in LA, I don't know how I got a hold of him. I'm like, bro, I got to bring you to the radio station. Like, No one at the radio station was playing it, but I understood the buzz that was around this record.
Yeah.
And he came up to the radio station. We've just been cool ever since. But my question is this. This is on some fuzzy nerd shit. I want to talk to you about 444.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a different recording or a different process for that project? Probably
absolutely.
one of my favorite Jay-Z projects.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, maybe I'm biased because me and No ID, Dion are cool, but Dion didn't let me know what he was working on, but I knew something was bubbling, right? Was that a different process to do that whole project?
Yeah, absolutely different process. Number one, Dion is absolutely the spark. No ID, I call him Dion too.
Yeah.
But No ID is absolutely the spark. He was hitting Jay months and months and months before that. He had sat back and basically has said like, yo, I'm getting into this process of getting better. And he had figured out a way of chopping that I don't think anybody still to this day, I don't know exactly how he did it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just something like guys will think he used like Effectrix or all these little plugins or whatever. And it's almost like free jazz because there's no 4 bars that repeats itself. So it was just ill, like the style that he was doing, number one. But he had to kind of like get Jay into the mode of doing the album. And it's also the first album that is all one producer for Jay,
right.
that we've never done that before. It started off with like a lot of us at the crib, but then it got to us being in Dion's studio a lot.
Right.
Which I think helped a lot too, where it was like the actual process of getting up out of the crib, coming to a studio, like going to work. You know what I mean?
But were you shocked at the vulnerability of 444?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely, the same things y'all ask would be the same things I just hear it before you. But I'm also thinking from a standpoint of this is my man. It's an artist, but it's also my man. I want to protect my man, but I want him to also, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm very much to stand in front of the bullet. I block the bullshit for Jay all day long from any angle, right? So yeah, the vulnerability was something that was super different. I think the lessons that he was saying in there was just something that needed to be said. It was also too a conscious decision of like we don't necessarily need the like radio sing. We wasn't trying to give it to me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying,
yeah.
and that sort of thing. So,
you know what?
The conversations that we was having.
That's it. That's the part I'm talking about.
That conversations that we was having. It was
the conversation. He says it always starts with the conversation.
It was just ridiculous. Like again, this is your man. At this point, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, being around somebody for 20 plus years, and there's still information that there's information that Jay was finding out about Tata.
Wow.
Because you don't normally have that type of conversation with your people. It's just like the song itself made us go into those conversations. Yeah. Or like, if you look at some of the behind the scenes stuff, that was real. Like, and that's why we filmed it like that, because it's a bunch of men from all walks of life. You know what I'm saying? Just having this conversation. So it's not just, Chris Paul it's not just successful black men is what I'm saying. It's black men from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And we all just having these conversations about like relationship and not just women relationship. Like,
period.
Yeah, just period. And where we need to go in terms of being grown and like what our legacy is and the things that we talk about in the avenue. I think he was smart in the way he did it, especially because some people took it wrong, like with the money phone thing. And it's it's not, I'm not telling you not to do those things. I'm telling you that I did those things, which is the reason I can then tell you there's more important things. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, no, all of us have been in a strip club plenty of times. But what's more important than that is this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We all you have video after video after video of seeing me with a big chain and floss and okay, after you get done with that, what's more important? Credit. Yeah. You know, so I'm not telling you don't do those things. I'm just saying to you what's more important than that. Yeah. That's what the real lesson is.
I think what messed me up the first time I heard it, I was at the album release party at 4040. So I'm thinking, give it to me. I'm thinking something, and we're in the club, and I'm like, I can't hear this right now. Like, I need to, because in the environment, it was opposite.
Right.
Of the slappers.
People don't understand. The normal thing that and nobody would know because we do a really good job of nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? People in the office don't even know we're making an album.
Right.
Like sort of thing. So, how do I say this? It's not people would normally set that up. You know what I mean? And they'd be like, okay, whatever Jay give me, he's gonna give me one of those. Yeah. And it wasn't that type of environment. And it was also a real dig into a personal thing, because it's like, not only is it starting off with Kill Jay-Z, where it's just like, yo, I gotta kill off that old mentality, my 18-year-old mentality, my mentality that would have pulled out a gun, my mentality that would care about how many bottles I got on my table, my mentality that would have cared about what clothes I got on. But we get to another point, which is really Bam, and people didn't really get it, because Bam, not only was it like going into like the Jamaican record, Bam is really the ego coming back, if you really get into Bam. So if we start
decode it for us.
So it's like, fuck all that pretty Sean Carter shit, nigga. Hove, y'all was on that gospel shit. I'm the reason you here. The bravado got you here. If it wasn't for the bravado, you wouldn't be the rapper. You wouldn't have stepped up and held it down for my. So all this little pretty Sean Carter shit, you chilling with Oprah, you chilling with Obama, don't forget about me. I got you to that point. So it's the ego coming back and being like, nah, don't be all righteous. It's about balance.
Balance, yes sir. Yes,
you see what I'm saying?
It's
still so there's I'm a Star Trek watcher, right? So just as the ultimate thing. There's an episode where Captain Picard has the ability to go back in time. Captain Picard, when he was young, gets into a bar fight. He's not scared. So it's this big whatever it is thing. And he's at the bar. And he gets into a fight. He gets stabbed in the heart. They give him a fake heart. Right? So now he's older. You know what I'm saying? He's a captain. He goes back in time. And at the bar, he's like, yo, man, relax. Not even worried about that. And in that reality, he only becomes an ensign. The thing that made him jump also made him become a captain. That thing about you that you can't, if you was to go back and change all of your young childhood mistakes, you wouldn't be who you are.
You're not going to be the same person.
It's something about that edge that made you jump, that also made you get the deal, that also made you get up and go put this thing together, that made you connect these two people, that made you have the bravado to talk to so don't lose all of that. That's what that part of it was.
Don't be that all the time.
Right, and it's about balance. So in the middle of that, it's like, okay, how do I even that out? And then at the end, we get to a legacy.
Man,
legacy. Yo, Jay-Z was dropping so many bars of just, I'm like, yo, y'all don't catch what he's saying. The ego, echo, like he was.
It's that, and it's also it's always going to be the witty lines. It's always going to be those things. I expect he raps at 3 different levels, right? So there's like at all times, there's a very common level of what he's saying. There's the level where people go, oh, there's double entendres. And then, like anybody, there's a crew level. Like, y'all got personal slang that's just y'all because y'all hang out together. Like, we have that. We have personal slang that don't nobody else know what it means, but just the crew. So there's always 3 levels of rapping, right? There might be some things that are not really, people might take them as subs, but they not. It's just the way the crew talk. So, there's that thing. But then there's also, he's always going to give you the bars and give you vowel sounds and the double entendres and the triple entendres. But it was the setting up of the subject matter that made 444, right? And his insight to not only be vulnerable, but just to go into so many different places to talk to also give you a thing that is pushing forward the revolution or the struggle. And when I say struggle, I mean, it has to be looked at for a time period of now. What are we doing now? How do we move forward now? You know what I mean? There's so many times when we look backwards and we look at what people did at certain time periods and be like, oh, we need to be doing it. And it's like, nah, that worked at that time period. This is a new thing. So we have to be, you know what I mean, just as diligent in finding out what the new avenues and the new aspects are and actually seeing it, right? When I say actually seeing, a lot of people talk about it. You'll hear people say, black people need this. We need to do this. We need to, but don't nobody do it. So you're actually watching in real time somebody do it. And you can critique it, you can criticize it, but there's a difference between you sitting on your couch critiquing it and somebody who has to actually do it.
Really?
So that's the thing in 444 is like that analyzation of what happens when you actually go out and do the thing.
Hold on for us. This is because I got to get this one out. It's something that happened that y'all did a rollout, which was very different for Jay-Z. You were a part of it. We saw this stuff that was going on Instagram Live, and it was the setup of the movie.
That was just fun.
But you know, that was different for us, seeing y'all play like the, you know, we ain't know what was, break that concept down.
So for people that don't know, James has been around for a while.
That's the director of.
James Samuel is the director.
Of The Harder They Fall?
Harder They Fall.
Yeah.
If you look at Jay Electronica's Brooklyn performance where Jay walked out.
When it was,
he had Jay Electronica had the FOI on.
Yes.
And Jay came out with like a white T-shirt. James is standing at the turntables. James Samuels is standing at the turntable. Go back and watch it. Right, he's been around us forever. That's my brother, Nigerian from London. Just incredible mind, incredible dude. Like we argue back and forth in the greatest.
But he's a
ways.
film director,
film director, and a musician.
I think I met him. He did a movie that was. I want to stay on this.
With Erykah Badu.
I was at South by Southwest, and I went to that screening.
Yes.
So yeah, I know the connection. I just didn't never.
And God bless the dead Michael K. Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wow. All right. So go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So he's just an incredible mind. He's a musician. He had a group called the Bullets.
The Bullets, yes sir.
Which is him doing all the music and all the singing, but Lucy Liu and Idris Elba play characters. And this is just how incredible his mind is, and like he got songs on there with Mos Def and Jay Electronica, and it's just incredible.
That's the part I was writing.
Incredible music, right?
Okay.
So he goes to do. We starting the movie, like he's starting the film. They filming in New Mexico, and then COVID hit. So he's sitting on a film set, cameras, nothing to do. So he's just like, "Goo, I'm gonna do like this War of the Worlds sort of thing," where he's just like making this up, but he knows so many different people that he's like calling them and being like, "Yo, while we was at the gold party, you stole my toilet paper." So it was like just something dumb that he was doing, but it started catching on. So he was just calling a bunch of people, and then he was like, "Goo, we'll never get." I'm hitting him every day. I'm like, "Yo, this is hilarious," right? Because I know James and I know his mentality. So I'm like, "We'll never get." He's like, "We'll never get Jay to come on there." So I'm gonna just FaceTime you and just have Jay talk in the background.
Yeah.
Right. So I think James thought Jay was gonna get on there. So I'm like, "Yo, bro, he's not gonna get on there." So it's just me trying to keep a straight face the whole, because I want to die laughing, right?
Yeah.
But I got to keep a straight, like I'm trying to be angry at James. And then Hove walks in and stays in perfect character like the whole time. It was hilarious. People was calling me like, "Yo, who is this dude? We gonna come get him." I'm like, "Nah, that's my man. It's a joke." Like it was crazy. It was crazy. We had a good time. It was just fun. It wasn't even a planned like rollout. It became that because we was just having fun during COVID, and it just became that.
Got it.
Now it makes sense. It
It
looked real though.
Because when I saw the movie and I understood that Jay was EP of the movie.
Yeah, it's actually the first movie he's doing underneath of his house. Wow. So it's just like, if you watch Jay, it's just an ill dude, man. Like, this is what I say to people all the time. Look at all his friends. They do exactly what they want to do every single day. And that's the blessing. It's just like James Samuel's going to get up and make movies. OG Warner's going to get up and deal with sports and baseball players, and
Vegas Jones.
He gonna make clothes and you know what I'm saying, like deal with his trees. Goo gonna get up and do music every day. Like, just think about what everybody does. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that's another facet of it where James is just so ill as a director and as a musician. He also scored the whole thing.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, all the music, and the singing parts is him.
So he's just super talented.
Nah, and he's our next Tarantino, bro. He's the next one. And it's almost disrespectful to call him Tarantino because I'm not saying it from style standpoint. Yeah. I'm just saying in terms of how he's going to blow up. His mind is that incredible.
What's his fascination with Western, like that era?
Just as a kid,
Because that's what I saw at the South by Southwest was like a playoff for that.
That was an extension of what that was, and I think it was that perfected. I think the story is just ill, and just when you look at his shots that he chooses, he's got a different way of viewing us and a different way of filming us, actually.
Wow. So he's just an ill dude.
Yeah, he's just super intelligent. It's just like same way me and you were probably kicking about music, me and him kicking about movies, and it's more me learning or asking him questions about why this person shot that way. It's like if somebody came to you and said something about like, yo, the Chronic album, but you'd be like, yo, okay, so here's the producers, here's the engineers, here's what the the whole background.
And he knows that about
movies.
Yeah. Wow. Let me ask you this question. Every engineer or like my go-to sound sonically album go-to is probably Grace Jones' Slave to the Rhythm. Mm-hmm. I can listen to that album or one particular song over and over again and not get tired of it. Mm-hmm. what is your go-to album that makes you feel like, let me retune my ears, or I want to make sure this is my reference when it comes to mixing?
Every room that I step in that's foreign to me, I have to play Chronic 2001, and I got to play Low End Theory. So my sound is on purpose trying to combine those two things. Wow. So it's like what Tribe did to me in terms of Bob Power. You know what I'm saying? And it's Bob Power and Tip together. Don't get it twisted, because it's Tip pushing Bob Power to be a certain way. That sonically just changed the way I listen to music. And then Dre, I don't think there's no, like, Dre took our bottom end, and all hip-hop records had a lot of low end. But the clarity that he put into it and the depth, like, a lot of people could mix left to right and, like, pan really well. 2001 was the first time where you had, like, depth this way. So, and
you saw the difference. You felt the difference.
Yeah, immediately.
Have you ever had a chance to talk to Dr. Dre about that album?
I have not. There's only one time I've been around Dre.
You gonna go?
What am I?
Let's go.
One time I've been around Dre.
Man.
But you guys know each other's work.
Man, I know his.
So Dre's one of your heroes.
Absolutely. Sonically? Yeah.
Was it explosive? Was it?
It's all of it together, bro. Because you got to remember, he's not only doing all keyboard beats, he's combining samples and synths together, right? So it's a combination of those two sounds. It's a presentation of, like, how he's taking vocals and making them sit inside of there, but then the reverbs and what like I said,
yo, Dre,
like a super depth.
Dre, can you hear me? Yo, fam.
I think we attempting to have Dr. Dre on the phone.
Yo, can you hear me?
We can't hear him.
Yeah, nigga, what's up?
Listen, I'm doing my podcast, and somebody want to give you their flowers, and I just asked this engineer, young guru who does all Jay-Z shit. You know who that is. I just asked him, what is his favorite go-to album when he wants to tune a room or whatever? Tell him what you just said.
First of all, man, I appreciate you. All blessings to the God, man.
What's up with it? How you doing?
Great, man. I'm great. He asked me what I used to tune a room. I said 2001, and he was asking me why. I said, because
stop playing, nigga. What? Really?
Of course. I said everybody had that low end, but I said Dre put that clarity, and more important, he put that depth into the music, man. So I got to praise you and thank you for doing that for me, man. That's my go-to.
Oh, man. Yo, man, I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate your work, too, man. I look up to you as well, man.
Wow. That's an honor.
Yeah, but that particular record, man, I was really going bass heavy with it, like trying to keep the mids and the tops right and the whole shit, but still trying to make sure it sounded like some gritty shit, you know. So
and the way you got the vocals sitting, man,
you know what it is, trying to get that balance.
Yeah, yeah. But the way you got those vocals sitting, and I always tell everybody all the time, not only you got all keyboard beats, is what you did with the samples on there too. Like the samples, the way the samples sit with what you lay it on top of it. That's just the bread and butter of what I try to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's like a lot of times, at least back then, I was mixing the vocals a little bit too loud, because it's a little trick that you learn along the way. Once you get into mastering, if you want to add bass to your shit, the vocals comes down. The vocals come down. So I would always mix my vocals, or anybody that I'm working with, I would mix the vocals just a little bit loud. That way you could add bass and the vocals would still sit on top of it comfortably.
I'm taking that gem.
So I'm taking that gem. A little trick that I learned along the way.
Wow, man, I appreciate you, man. Whew.
Yo, I had to call you Dre, because I was in my sound nerd thing. I'm like, this is an easy call.
Hey Dre, whenever you want to stop by to the FAQ podcast, we waiting for you, brother. Just anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Yo, Dre, I just do this. I do a small thing podcast now called FAQ. So
yeah, anytime. We waiting on you.
Okay. Yeah, I got work to do right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
I forgot. It's little game going on.
I got that next Sunday, a week from today, man. And then I'm gonna put my feet up, or for a minute, and get back at it.
Yeah, you got a birthday to celebrate too coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Congrats on the Super Bowl too, OG, man. That yo, for real, that's a incredible look.
Yeah, that's we're about to kill it. I'm really excited about that shit, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's crazy that the Super Bowl is Sunday, and my birthday is the Friday right after that, so it's gonna be a fun-filled week of debauchery.
Whoa, man.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right, bud.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dre, I'll get at you later, my brother. Love you, bro.
Love you too, bro.
All right, in a minute, peace. Yo, so anyway,
I don't think
Oh,
what
man,
this
that's
what,
amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
listen, bro. I
I'm
know
happy now, man.
we're gonna get that tape to you.
Listen.
But I just wanted you to make sure you told him that because he's a head. You know, he's one of us.
Yeah, nah, of course. One of my illest things, man, was recognizing that in Quick. When we did the Black album,
Woo!
it was my first time.
Justify my thug.
Man, work. But the thing with Quick was we sat for a week.
Wow.
And just worked. Quick, it was just me, you know what I mean? Just me and Quick, boom, boom, every day, just knocking out joints. And Jay would, same thing, Jay would do to Pharrell, whoever, he'll come in, he'd be like, oh, that's cool, you're getting in the right direction, da-da-da-da. But like sitting there for a week with Quick, I really figured out like, oh, this dude knows everything.
I just feel like we need more of this kind of content because a lot of people don't see, or you know, if you're a hip hop fan and you're just into rap or you're just into the beats, you don't even understand that there are geniuses.
Not genius.
And it's not just the rapper or the producer. It's so many people with ideas coming up with this.
And I think a little bit more. I'm gonna be careful the way I say this, right? So that I don't get in trouble.
I feel you.
East Coast cats, we sample, and we came up through breaks, sampling. I think a little bit more of the West Coast sound was playing. Yeah. So then you get into things of like learning how to program synths. A lot of that came from the guys that I was messing with on the West.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I didn't really learn how to program a synth until later. Where it was like a beat machine sampling, I was cool. But West Coast dudes, they knew how to jump in that JP 8080 like nobody's business. And it was like later on I started figuring that out, where that was common nature for anybody that was coming from production out
Got
here.
it. Yeah.
So I think there was a little bit more, and again, that's why I said I don't want to say it to where, yes, were there people playing synths on the East Coast? Yes,
of course.
but it wasn't the development of the sound the way it was out here to where the
Because Eric
average...
Sermon was tapping in a little
bit.
Yeah, of course.
He was doing his thing. But East Funk was a much more... And again, it's an East Coast funk because of the territory. If people are jumping on a train, if you back... your thing is more this. You know what I'm saying? And you walking. It's a walk culture. And we, you know what I'm saying? Or even...
We out here rolling. We driving.
So the bass lines are longer.
It's a different
feel. You know
I tell people that because when I moved to New York, that's when Smith and Wesson and Mobb Deep dropped their album, and I'm like,
it sounded like it.
I can hear, oh, they talking about this, they talking about, and I'm now seeing it. I'm like, oh, now I get why everybody trip off when they come to the West, drop top.
But think about it.
Right.
We rolling different.
We were driving earlier, and I was playing Stove God, and I was like, it don't feel like Stove God. I gotta play Dom Kennedy. It feel like we on Slauson. It felt like
we were driving down Crenshaw.
Yeah,
you saw
like,
low
nah,
riders and top down.
Yeah, it felt
Stove
like
God gonna
that.
be special though.
Stove God's gonna
Stove
be
God?
amazing.
Deion's one guy that told me about Stove
Stove
God.
God gonna be special.
He's a problem. Like a real problem.
I'll tell you about. I'm making some stuff now, but yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
let me ask you this, because me and QDs are a Tribe Called Quest heads, right? And you just mentioned Low End Theory.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a Midnight Marauders guy. Which one is your favorite, Midnight Marauders or Low End Theory?
Midnight Marauders.
Which one had
they perfected the sound and song making on Midnight Marauders. I think Low End Theory is just so incredible because they escaped the sophomore curse that a lot of people had, and it's so sonically different from the first album.
Yes.
The first album I feel like has that sort of like, I don't want to call it demo-ish, but it still has, you know what I'm saying? It's not just demo songs like Bonita Applebum. And, I mean, like, come on. But sonically, the way that it sounds, and I've talked to Bob Power about this, about why does Low End Theory sound so much sonically better than the first, and he was just like, the equipment got better.
Oh, so now we seeing the curve of different.
He's just like the equipment got
MPs
better samplers, better. You know what I'm saying? He was just like the equipment got better.
Yeah, it got to be Midnight. That Look at God. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God.
To me, it's top to bottom is just one of my favorite go-to albums, and I didn't realize Tip was so hands-on the production.
Yeah,
all of them.
Clue.
Yeah.
And Tip was extremely hands-on in production, but don't sleep on Ali, and don't sleep on Ali's playing of live
instruments. Absolutely.
So that's one of the mysteries of like who did what on the album, because all of it says produced by Tribe.
And you got to respect that.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to. They didn't
have
to.
Yeah. Whoever did. Yeah, they didn't have to do it.
It was
that
no
way. It's
I.
a beautiful thing.
So let me. This is me on my nerd shit. Guru.
But they trained us.
Yeah.
To stay on that topic though,
They
trained us. Tip, Ali, Fife, they trained us. And when I say trained us, in terms of changing where we was going to find samples, what we was looking for, the type of breaks you was using, being able to be yourself. Tribe, you know what I'm saying, especially coming from like a De La Soul thing. It was like De La extension, you know what I'm saying? So it's like Jungle Brothers was one thing. If it would have stayed just Jungle Brothers, it would have been that. Then you got De La coming, which is the most wildest thing in the world, and it's like exactly me, but not everybody's going to understand that sort of thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That De La is me. Like, that's my favorite group of all time.
Wow.
Right?
See, we talking that talk, boy. You talking that talk. But listen, and I'm a kid from Compton, and I always throw it back.
I'll relay it to you. It's the same way you could be into TDE, right? But only some of us is going to understand Ab.
Right.
Everybody going to understand Kendrick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's close, and Ab is like what I'm going to gravitate towards, but the world is going to understand. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm relating to. That's what it is for me.
You know I 100, I understand you. And I still get geeked up when Paz or any of the guys from De La Soul say what's up to me and know my name. I'm like, I don't get used to that, bro.
Paz is one of my good friends. I still get.
I don't get. Listen, bro, and I'm like, do you understand? I bought y'all albums. Nah, Fuzz, you cool. I'm like, no. I know we cool. The same way with Dre. He didn't have to pick up my call, bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But it's like I value those relationships, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I do too. It's
and
weird.
You don't take those for granted.
Nah, it's weird.
You can't.
And it's been times where I had to catch myself, because I'm one of the biggest, like, don't overdo it people when you're in the moment, like the situation. Like, I've had to do that with a lot of people, like, yo, just chill, enjoy the moment. We was in London one time. My man Smiles road manages De La Soul, right? Smiles is Howard. That's my guy.
From Howard.
Yes.
Okay.
So after the club, we go back to the room. You know what I'm saying? We just sitting there having a drink, and it's late, and I'm just like, yo, Paz, how did y'all write Millie Pull a Pistol on Santa? You're like 19 years old. How did you write that? And I was like, is that an actual? I was like, is that an actual person? Did that situation really happen? And it's like me. I'm like, nobody. Like, this is a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm getting it. This is when you got the album. You look at the title, and it's just like, the name of the song is Millie Pull a Pistol on Santa. It's just a start off for a title that sounds silly, but nothing silly about the trifling times of Millie. Millie, a Brooklyn queen, originally from Philly, complete with an accent that made her sound hillbilly. Right? And it goes on to talk about how she getting touched.
It's a story. Yeah. It's a story.
Her father is touching her, but he plays Santa Claus. He's the cool, you know what I mean? Your father, Dylan's really cool. Matter of fact, the coolest brother in the school. Then this one takes his brother to go down to Macy's where he's playing Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So by the end of the song,
you get it.
A girl just flashes. Like, we don't know what was the call. All we seen was a girl pull a pistol on Claus. Millie bucked him, and with the quickness, it was over, and the song just stops. And it's just like,
how'd y'all come up with that? That's Scorsese.
What was the concept?
Scorsese
this
level.
Girl walks into a mall and pulls a pistol and shoots Santa Claus, and the whole mall is like, why? And it's just like, no, y'all don't understand. He's raping me.
Yeah,
that's my father. Y'all think he's cool. Y'all think. I'm like, what 19-year-old mind comes up with this?
Yeah.
That's ill.
But then I also was like working with Ruben. I was making a point. I was like, yo, you know what? Nas wrote.
Come on, shout Ruben.
Nas wrote Illmatic at 19.
Yeah. Ruben's different. I feel like I call him young old nigga.
Yeah,
I always said that. I always said that about you, Ruben. Young old nigga. All right, so let's talk about this. You have an eye. You shoot with a Leica. Mm-hmm. I have a point and shoot Leica, and I'm trying to get. I love taking pictures. It's because I see you. First of all, we're in rooms that
everybody can't get in.
Yeah. Everybody can't get in, so I'm shooting now. I'm like,
I had to learn to respect that, Fuzzy.
You had.
I had to learn. No. You know why? From the opposite standpoint. Again, remember I told you about. If I'm not challenged, it don't really excite me.
Right.
So a lot of people was like, oh, why don't you always shoot this or shoot that? And I'll be like, because I don't shoot the person just because they famous. It got to be a good shot.
Yeah. You got to be.
So for me, taking photographs, subject matter don't matter. It's the shot.
Yeah. What got you into taking photos? Is it because, I'd say the reason I like it, Tuma is my man from YouTube.
Right.
Tuma takes a lot of pictures. I'm like, I need to start documenting things. I didn't document the 90s.
Yes.
And I'm like, Lenny S was doing that, though.
Yes, Lenny is the one that was smart enough to do it.
Early.
Not just the 90s, the 2000s, all of it. Lenny has all the pictures.
Yeah.
I didn't get in until later because, one, I needed a different challenge. Like, my whole challenge has been sonic, and I wanted a visual challenge, and I started to fall into certain photographers. But it was like the normal progression. You get on the gram. I was late on social media because I was like,
It's not you.
He was like, why am I on social media?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. When I got on there, it was like people posting what they ate. And I was just like, I don't want to look at your meal all day. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get it. So then I was like, all right, I'm going to get on here. And if I'm going to get on here, I might as well just post pictures. I went through the whole, remember the nasty HDR phase where everybody was doing those? I went through all that, right?
Yeah.
So then I started seeing like Babu was doing these interesting things, Instababs, right? So it was like, that was interesting. All right, let me figure this out. Then I saw D Nice's page, and I was like, whoa, why does D Nice photos look so much better than everybody else's photos? Yeah. So I was like, I went to D Nice, he's my man. And I was just like, yo, D, why your photos look so much better? And he was just like, and you know how hard it is to explain to somebody the history of Leica in a quick sentence? He was just like, not trying to diss, but he was just like, I shoot with a Leica. Like,
he was like, well, okay, what is that?
And it just set me off down the road of like, okay, let me research the brand. I get into the brand. I start looking all the images of Dr. King and Che Guevara and just like all this historical.
So you just go in a rabbit hole.
With anything I do, I go in a rabbit hole. Then I found Sebastian Salgado, and I just fell in love. And I was just like, I
need to be on that.
Oh, yeah, he's my favorite photographer in the world.
Okay.
So you just not playing. And I want people to understand that, like, whatever you do, it's not like, oh, I'm just playing with some knobs. It's like, no, I'm understanding the sound. I'm going to Rockville and understanding how but a lot of people don't see that. They think, oh, you're just around Jay, or you're like, you're
anything you hear me talk about, anything you see that, believe there's been massive amount. I don't really speak on stuff that I haven't done massive amounts of study on. Massive amount.
So you studied the Leica, because like
absolutely. So you go back, you do the whole history of the brand, right? You figure out when they started, why. You figure out why film, why 35 millimeter is this long, because this man's arm, you know what I mean? Barnack's arms was just that long, and that's why we have that many exposures. Like,
shut up, bro.
You start to go back, you do the history throughout the war and find out like what their position was when the Germans was coming in, and you know what I mean, them breaking into the Leica building and walking out with famous pictures of the SS grabbing Leicas and putting them around their neck, how the company was helping people get out of the country. It's a German brand. How they was helping people get out the country. Like, you do the whole then you be like, okay, this is all the Leica people, right? Then you naturally going to get to Magnum as a company. You know what I'm saying? The group Magnum, right? So that's Cartier-Bresson. That's the gods of street photography, right? So you got to get into Bresson. You got to get into let's say,
he's breaking it down.
You ain't playing.
Yeah, but when you get into this, then you get into the business of it. So Magnum was the first group that was like, okay, before then, if Life Magazine said, Fuzzy, I want you as a photographer to take a picture, you went to Life Magazine, they gave you the camera and the film, you go film whatever they said, you bring the film and the camera back, and Life Magazine owns it. They paid you $100, right? Magnum was the first people to be like, no. We're going to go film what we want. You sell it to Life Magazine and sell it to the newspaper, and we own it. I can sell the same image 10 times.
Wow.
And this is also when they're getting into doing things that were like filming war that had never really been done before. People had come before the war, shoot what people look like. They come after the war and see what it, but there had never been somebody in the war while the bullets are flying, in the middle of it taking photo. These guys. So you start to get into all that work. Then naturally you're going to go, okay, they're all famous. Where are the black people at? So you start to find out who was the famous black people that, you know what I'm saying, was in Magnum, and the famous black people that shot with a Leica. And, you know what I'm saying, you start to get into the depth of us and find out, okay, these is all these people, and this guy shot Martin Luther King, and this guy shot this. And that's what you go down this rabbit hole. That's what got me into it. So you get into form, function, you get into, you know, the three basic things that I'm looking at, you know what I'm saying, in terms of composition, lighting, you know what I mean, and basically just how it's framed. But then I start to break rules. So I'll break the rule of thirds with throwing in the Fibonacci curve. So I'm, you know, like, I get dead serious with my photography.
Yeah.
So you shoot with a Leica?
I don't shoot with nothing else. I've never had a DSLR in my hand. I don't know nothing about it. I tell kids all the time, if you're trying to do a podcast and all that, go get you one of them Sonys, the S9s, the S7s, and all that. This ain't what this is. This is me with a rangefinder because I like shooting rangefinders.
So, okay. What was your first Leica?
Was an M.
First of all, Leica's super expensive, bro.
Yeah, It's a super expensive camera.
What's the average?
Well, a body's gonna run you, depending on what body you buying. You know what I'm saying? A body's gonna run you about $5,000-$6,000. But that's not really it. It's the
without
lenses.
lens.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the lenses, depending on what lens you get, a basic lens is gonna be like $3 grand, $4 grand. There's a 0.5 that's 10 grand. You know what I'm saying? There's a 50 that's 0.9, and that's 10 grand.
Do you get sponsored by them now?
I get love. I don't get sponsored.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get some love from
get
off of
love.
this.
All right, so wait, have you ever shot an excuse my ignorance, have you ever shot an album cover then? Have you seen your work on album covers?
I've never shot an album cover. I'm working right now on
A book?
a book, but also putting together a gallery, right? So
Nice. I love it.
my company, Collimation, that's what we do. We put together events, AR, VR, 360. It's a company I started during quarantine, doing really good right now. We did an event with Rap. We just shot a 360 video with Ruben. We also did some with Mixmaster Mike.
Of course.
A bunch of stuff. So I want to do something in there, but the book is coming. So I'm gonna do the book. People hit me every day. Go, you should do it. I'm like, you're not the first person to think of this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like,
So you have a bunch of stuff that you
I want to organize it to tell the right story, and a lot of my stuff is street. I'm not I don't set up shots. So there's people that'll do fashion photography and that will have lights and all that and set up the shot, and they have that's their job, and they have a product that they're trying to get out. That's
you capture the moment.
I capture street. I like
all right,
doing
so
street.
Hold on. We got him going somewhere. You have your camera here with you.
I didn't bring my camera.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like, he could have took some shots.
Oh
of
no,
us.
no, he's his.
But
Listen,
you got
I was.
I
got my story
come
right
on,
there.
like,
Listen,
would you take some shots?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I was super geeked up. I was able to catch Guru in a DJ moment on my Leica, and I was so you don't understand that was like a big deal for me. I'm like,
that's
this is
crazy.
dope. Like
Crazy.
I'm gonna be able to send him something. And I was shooting at Dion's birthday party, No ID's
Which
birthday
I wasn't
party.
supposed to DJ at, but it was Dion.
Yeah, you got suckered in.
Yeah,
You got
whatever,
you had to,
whatever for the homie. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So I was taking pictures. I'm like, I'm starting off with my point and shoot, but I am going to get into it. Like, and I was talking to Joe, who was one of my friends, who's a photographer. And he's like, I was telling him what I like.
Shout out to Joel. What's up, Joel?
He was like, "Oh, you like symmetry?" I was like, I think I do.
Yeah.
And I was just like a picture of at Rhapsody's. I took a picture of Rhapsody's marquee. It's one of my favorite photos I captured. And I'm like, I like the way this look. I just took a picture of the marquee outside of at the club. And I'm like, oh, that's dope.
Composition is everything.
And I didn't realize it was like, oh, it's the composition. That's one of the pictures I got framed up at the house. You know what I'm
Composition
saying?
is everything. That's what makes the photo. Like, there's some people out there, you know what I mean? Like, that's not my job. You see what I'm saying? So there's photographers that I know that's their job.
That's
and
what they do.
I support them, and that's I want them to win. You know, that's the Johnny Nunez of the world. That's the Ravi B's of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the person that when, like, one time, she has a famous thing that she always keeps. It's a tweet where she was just like, I should have been in the pit. And I was like, don't worry, you will.
And who said this?
Raven. Right? Her tag is Ravi B, but her name is Raven.
She does some dope
Right?
stuff.
She's Jay and B's photographer.
Yeah. Young.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, but she's doing everybody. She does Big Sean. She's just it now. Yeah. Like, but I remember when she was like, yo, I need to be in the pit. And I was like, you will. I'm saying her name because that's her
You saw it.
profession. You know what I'm saying? That's what she does for a living. I don't play the photography game. I play the music game. You see what I'm saying? So I have a creative side in music, but I also got to play the business of music game. I love music enough that I'll do the business. Photography, I'm free to do whatever I want because there's no business involved.
No, you're just doing it just to be.
I do it because I want to do it. So it's really, somebody said something and was like, oh, are you an amateur photographer? I was like, yes, by choice. It doesn't mean I don't take it serious. It means I don't make money off of it, which allows it to be pure.
So you're just doing it for the love of it.
Absolutely for the love.
Right.
And I want to get better.
And,
That's the whole thing.
and listen, and also our buddy Dion.
Yeah. Dion got everything.
He got everything.
Couple questions. You said that your dad said grown men don't fight for attention.
Don't beg for attention.
Don't beg for attention. Was it a point where you had to go to Jay-Z and be like, yo, bro, you saying my name too much? Like,
nah,
I'm not.
I've never asked anybody to say my name, and I've never told anybody don't say my name.
Got it. But did it feel like did it start to shift for you where it's like, not saying you could fly under the radar, but who knew you was okay?
That didn't happen until the internet started really, really popping. Even though Jay was saying my name, Beans was saying my name, Bleak was saying my name, Cammy was saying my name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It still was just a name, and people didn't recognize the face. And then it was like I'm walking down the street. You know, my world I break it into 10-year periods. From birth to 18, I'm in Wilmington. Then my whole 90s is in D.C. Then 99, I leave. I go to New York. So that's 2000 to 2010. I'm in Baseline. every day for that 10 years. I'm on 26th Street between 6th and 7th. That became my
home.
world, my area. Every corner store, everybody that sell a white T-shirt, that is my world. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. 2010 was where I stepped back out into the world and started going on tour with Jay and DJing with him. So it was like me leaving. There's a difference in me sitting in the same room for 10 years making the songs, but I wasn't really going out partying. If I was at a party, I worked on that project. If I was there, like I was very rarely if I'm at the Tunnel, we're performing. Bleak is performing. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't just like, oh, it's Friday, I gotta go to this club, or I'm at Greenhouse just cause it's Saturday. Like that's not me. It gotta be an event.
Yeah.
So then it was like 2010 was like me coming back outside. Right, and it was a great learning experience of DJing too, because then the whole club world has shifted, and nobody plays third verses no more in a club, and like it was a whole different thing.
It's a thing.
So it was like I had to relearn that and like go back into. So I'm saying all that to say, like, I'll look at it in blocks, but you know that's just what happened.
Yeah, really. What does that chain around your neck mean to you?
A lot of hard work, sweat. 3 black young men that had a dream and put it together, but also started something that went on to feed a bunch of people.
Right.
It was a foundation.
It's still feeding a bunch of people.
Still feeding a lot of people. It was a foundation for a lot of people's careers. Like I said, we have women that went from interns to now co-presidents of a label. We have people that went into every aspect of the music business. I'm super proud of all the women that worked for us because they just went out and just kicked ass. But if you look at from Ryan Prez to just all those people that was around, you know what I'm saying? Like that was just around. He running around with the Philly Cats at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody that learned from those situations that got to be around, like it was just an incredible thing. And if you think about how many millionaires were made, you also think about the fact that me and Jay personally, like I could understand Jay doing everything that he did for Bleak. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, you from my projects, a couple floors, you know what I'm saying, above me. He has no reason to even have to do that for me. You know what I mean? So it's even more of an appreciation of, like, thank you. Like, I appreciate it. Not just for the job, for the opportunity, for the way you carry yourself, for the man that you are, for, like, just constantly being, like a good brother. Like, that's the legacy of what they created. So when you say, what does this chain mean? Like
Rockefeller chain.
Yeah, it means a lot. It means seeing an organization where we don't always see organizations that win, and organizations where everybody has a common goal. That's part of, in the music business today, some of the parts that I miss. And it might be a little bit of like, we had competition, so it was friendly, kind of like. Yeah, I'm trying to make a record to play in an office that's gonna be better than the Murder Inc. record. Yeah, I'm trying to make a record that's gonna be better than Rough Riders record. We all in the same building. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
That little bit, and then the competition that was amongst each other. If you came in the baseline, it was like you couldn't say a whack verse. You was gonna get laughed out. So
you had to set the bar high.
Yeah, that I think that sort of thing is what I look at when I look at it. Then I also see something that we've never seen before. Like I said, it's hard to find a normal genius, number one. I'm very aware of time. So when you look at Jay and say, okay, there's never been somebody that did it that way, right? That got to $1 billion, that, you know, like put himself in a position that he's in terms of influence, that goes way beyond rap music and hip hop, businesses, employment of other people. Breaking this glass ceiling when it comes to this management in sports. If you look at LeBron, you look at Jay, you look at what they've done, that didn't exist. There was an old boys club before LeBron. Look at where we at now. You know what I'm saying? So the idea of, you know, Paul and all that, like, that didn't exist. Yeah. So them breaking that ground, I think just on every aspect, that's what it represents to me.
And who handed you that chain? Jay.
On my birthday. Yeah, I remember the exact day. Like it was a birthday present.
Yeah. So it was a birthday gift. You like, damn.
No, I asked him for a soup. I asked him for one of the small joints. I was just like, yo, I want one of the small joints. And then he was like, yo, come to the crib. And then he was just like, bah. And I was like, wow.
Like, nah, I want the small joint. I didn't need the big one.
I was like, yo, bet, good looking. That was it. That's just type of dude he is.
As we get older, I think birthdays mean something different, especially because of what we just came through with the pandemic.
Crazy, man. We lost a lot of people.
Yeah, I know your birthday's coming up. Like, what are you doing to reflect, celebrate?
I think I reflected a lot during these past 2 years, but I think as I approach 50, that's the big reflection. Like all my dudes now is like, it's not a midlife crisis where you like, I need to buy a Ferrari or do I still got it with the chicks? It's just like, yo, like it's only but so much time.
Yeah.
And it's so much I want to do, and it's only so much time. And you'll look back and be like, yeah, I've done a lot in my life. If I was, knock on wood, if I was to go, I live forever. My music will live forever, the things I've been involved with, and most importantly, my 4 children, you know what I'm saying? So my genes get to go on. You know what I'm saying? I'm a grandfather already. Wow. So we look at those things, but it's still like time. It's like, as much as I did in music, I haven't done nothing in physics. And I'm a bomb on the physics world before I get off of here. It's going to get changed by the time that I get done with it. You know what I mean? That's a whole other aspect that they're not ready for. So photography, things like that. I do want to go, all throughout Africa and like shoot the Dogon and shoot like all these different people that is like I have a lot of questions about. So you start reflecting on time of I only got but so much time.
Yeah, because I turned 50 last year, and I'm like, now I got definitely more time behind me than ahead of me.
Right.
What am I doing? Right. This is why this podcast means a lot to me, when I'm working with my partner Q. But I'm like, this is what I want to do this. Right. It's time for me to do what I want to do for me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the reflection. Those reflections, along with other personal, just reflections of when you get to a certain point of like I said, like what's the next thing? You stop trying to obtain and you start trying to achieve. That's a bar.
Hell yeah.
That's a bar.
You understand what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest difference in the mentality. Like and again, I'm not trying to say it from some pretentious place of like, yeah, we was young and I'm walking through the mall and I'm walking with beans and bleak and I buy a $5,000 watch just because I got it and we in that spirit. And I'm not really doing that no more. I've been there, and that doesn't mean to say I'm you know what I mean, talking down to a young boy. Yeah. I'm just saying I've done that. Now I'm like, why not spend that $5,000 on records? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a different mentality, but it's less about getting things, and it's more about achieving things.
Yeah. Let's leave it there.
Okay, man.
Guru, thank you, brother.
Bro, you dropped some science on us today.
He's from Wilmington, Delaware, man.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation,
Absolutely.
brother. Listen, thank you.
You put me on the phone with Dr. Dre. I hope somebody got that on tape.
We got it. We definitely got it. Shout out to Drew.
Thank you, my brother. Yo. I had to though.
So okay, so Dre don't remember, but the only time when we was doing when Dre was leading sort of like the album for Jay, right? And we had done a bunch of stuff in Baseline, but it's basically just me recording Jay. And of course Jay doesn't want me to email, and Dre didn't want me to email, so I flew the sessions out here.
Wow.
So when I got out here, it was like 2 or 3 days before I even was in the room with Dre, but everything was super cordial. It was like I went over to that studio. They had like security everywhere. The cameras was everywhere. So I walk in there and they like, yo, you cool? You need anything to eat? You need some food? Da-da-da. And I was just like, and they was like, but Dre went to go take the kids to the movies. You know what I'm saying? It was like something like that. And I was like, okay. The next day you come back and was like, he had to go do something else. And it was like 3rd or 4th day. I get in there, hand him all the stuff, and he was like, thank you. That was it. That was it. I left. It was like then he worked on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I thought he was going to like work on it while I'm there. I get to see Dre work, and he was just like, appreciate it, and went to go do what he's doing. And it was almost like, all right, I'll call you when it's done.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my own. So we have been in the same room, but it was literally like all of 2 minutes.
Oh, so that call was different for you. All right, I got it.
That's what I mean. I've met him before, but it was like that fast.
When I say he's aware of what you do, he's definitely aware of what you do.
Brother, thank you, man. Nah, that's an idol. That right there is all the way back to Swap Meet mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't necessarily know what's the spot called where Tony A was at, the Rosaliem or something.
The Rhodium.
The Rhodium. We didn't
sir.
necessarily know that, but we was getting the tapes. You know what I'm saying? and we didn't know that was an actual spot. We thought that was like
swap
the
meet spot. Yeah,
it almost felt like that was the label. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we didn't know. We didn't know.
And that was
what
going.
that was.
You was getting that from all the way to back east. You were like, I see what this is.
Yeah,
He's a real head, boy.
Yeah, but we didn't know like
So
what
DJ
that
Quick
meant.
and Dre and they was selling their mixtapes.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. So that was a whole. It was him. It was Quick. It was Dre. High C was on a lot of those tapes.
Yep.
MC8.
Yep.
Was on those tapes. It was a couple other people, but it was just like that was the couple little, you know what I mean, that would float over.
Yeah.
The Rhodium, yeah.
But they was produced in a like an incredible. It wasn't just like a
mixtape
I got the
together.
latest record. No, it was. They were
going above and
80
beyond.
million samples before you even got to the first song.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Dre, what's up? Like it's all like it was like, oh, how did he do this?
Yeah.
That it was that type of thought put
Next
in the
level.
mixtapes.
Man.
Yeah.
Listen,
West Coast, homie. West Coast.
FAQ podcast, Young Guru. Thank you, brother. Thank you for your time.
I love this conversation,
Thank
man.
you. Oh, what?
Thank you.
This was amazing, man. Look, this is what we bring it to y'all. Like, come on, man. FAQ podcast. Subscribe, share, subscribe.
Tell a
FAQ
friend.
podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everywhere you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, if you would like to advertise, fuzzyandq@gmail.com. We will see y'all next time.